All right. It says we are live. So I believe we are live for NBA All-Star Weekend. Welcome back to U Talk Sports. This is Greg Wells bringing you the U Talk Sports Show where you get to be in the show. We're going to open up the Zoom room right now and see who we've got waiting and here. Looks like we've got Moses is back again. Great to see you. Also, Andrew and Heather and Cameron. Great to see you guys. Welcome to You Talk Sports. This is the show where you get to be in the show. And this is NBA All-Star Weekend. And my name is Greg Wells. I'm the host and founder of You Talk Sports. We are a new startup in the sports world with two main objectives. Number one is that we come together to watch the games every night. Their isolation is a huge epidemic in America, and no one needs to be sitting home alone watching the game when you can be here, being in the show, being in the conversation, enjoying the game with each other. We're building real connections, building a real community here, and this is just the beginning. The second thing that we are doing in this show is we are learning about business as we follow sports. I've been very successful in my marketing agency, and I would credit the things that I learned playing team sports are the things that have made me very successful in business. So we are going to have business experts. We had an AI expert on last night. We're going to have athletes, pro athletes that we'll be interviewing about what they have taken from sports that they've now applied to success in business. And this way, we're learning to succeed in business. And one of the main reasons we're doing this is I feel like sports gets a really bad rap these days. There's a lot of people that think, oh, you watch too much sports. It's an escape. It's an addiction. You're isolating yourself by not socializing and instead staying in and watching sports. And, to some degree, those people are right, unless you're through sports, building communities, building skills that are valuable in life and business. And that's what we want to prove to them. And those are the people that this show is made for. Clearly, there are some people, there's even sometimes that I just want to turn off and watch the game, not think about anything, scroll on my phone. There's nothing wrong with that sometimes. But too much of that is not a path we want to go down. And if we can connect with other people through sports and build life skills, that is very valuable, smart use of our time. And so that's what we're about here. We're our startup. We've just launched about a week ago. We're looking to build a team. We're hiring for the team, and we're doing the hiring really as more of an audition. I'm being totally transparent in how we're building this in the show, and we're changing things as we go every day. I'm a big believer in my marketing agency that you listen to what your people want and you build things to give people what they want. And so things are evolving. So I know originally my plan was to have interview questions, and but we've been doing this just more of an audition style. And our goal is to grow the channel. And as we grow the channel, we can expand, bring on more and more team members, add in more and more hours. Right now, I'm committed to doing the show every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 p.m. And we need to be growing our audience in order to do that. And that's why I want to make sure that everyone is plugged in over on YouTube. I'm going to drop the link in here. If you could just go pull up another browser window or on your phone or both even, and just add the follow us and watch the show on YouTube as well. Every view counts and gets us out in front of more people. So there's the link if you didn't already have that. If you could pull that up, and in the live chat there, just comment, let us know that you're here. That way you're not just here in Zoom, but you're participating in the show on YouTube. And we'll be going over to the live chat to I see we've got someone, Sports Travel Coaster is already here for Team Gasol. And if you're in the live chat and you want to join us on Zoom, I'm going to drop the Zoom link into the chat here. Here's the link to join us on Zoom. Boom. Tonight, we're going to be focusing on the NBA All-Star Weekend. We're going to be talking about All-Star stubs. We're going to be talking about this celebrity game that's coming up. They're introducing and about the tip-off. We got the Rising Stars game. We always talk a little bit of basketball, a little bit of football. We've been trying out doing responses to things that are on the Pat McAfee show, because it turned out a lot of us are fans of that show. So I've got some clips from that show that I want to get your takes on. And again, being transparent about our initial marketing plan is on average, there is about 300 to 500 people a night that go to YouTube looking to watch the game of the night, looking to watch whatever's on TNT or ESPN. Maybe they don't have those channels and they're hoping to see the game live on YouTube. Obviously, you can't broadcast a game live on YouTube for copyright reasons. So they're either looking for the game, or my theory is that they're watching the game at home and they want to have some people to talk to. And so they'll pull up the game on YouTube, and they'll be chatting in the YouTube chat. But in my opinion, the YouTube chat kind of sucks. Like, it goes so fast, you can't really have a conversation with anyone, or you're just kind of there in the chat, right? So our plan, and one of the reasons we're building the show around an NBA game of the night, is we want to scoop up some of that audience, scoop up some of that traffic to shortcut our traffic. I'm pretty happy with how things have been going this week. Our episodes have been getting over 100 views each time. And typically what happens is every week or two, your views double and just slowly starts to grow. But if we can pick up some of those people that are coming here to watch the game, that is audience that we want to tap into. And so normally what we do on the show, if you've watched it before, is we put the game cast, which is like the play-by-play that ESPN does, live in the center stage, and then we kind of talk around the outside of it. And it does look like they have the game cast here for the NBA celebrity game. It's looks like it's about to kick off. They're broadcasting it live on ESPN. So we'll have that on here as we're talking, because that's what the people that are coming online to YouTube are looking for. We want to embrace that audience and have that audience join us in Zoom or join us on YouTube. And that's how we're growing out the channel. So that is what we are about in the channel. Some of people here are first timers. Some people here have been here before. You're welcome to come back as much as you want to come back as part of the audition process. I'm looking for, in terms of what we're looking for on the team, we're looking to create these viral moments. We're looking at that's what's going to grow the channel the best, right? Viral moments are typically something really funny, or something that is really like an outrageous take. Like I was calling for them to fire Coach Shanahan and bring in Belichick, the 49ers, right? It's something I haven't heard anybody on the internet say. It's a little bit out there. That's the kind of stuff we want, though. So I encourage you to try that on tonight. Try it on. Like last night, we did top 5 NBA all time, and I put Magic Johnson #2. But really was able to make some points about that. How I thought Kobe and Shaq's, because they were together, I don't count their championships full weight for either one of them. Yeah, that's a take that's different than what's out there. If you're here and you're just kind of regurgitating what's on ESPN, we're not going to beat ESPN or Pat McAfee at their own game. We got to have our own takes, our own humor, our own community. That's how we're looking to build this and what we're looking to do. All right, so the celebrity game is getting ready to tip off. Let's start with taking a look at the celebrity game. And what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that we're drafting the celebrity game players. My light just went out here. See if we can get that back on. And let's see, you should be seeing the screen here now. I think I had the celebrity rosters up in one of these screens. Here it is. And we're going to use the Zoom raise of hand feature. This way I don't call on you and put you on the spot if it's not a topic you want to talk on. But I would love to get your takes on who these people are. I honestly don't follow the movies and celebrities that much. So other than the sports people that are here, I don't know who a lot of these people are. But I'd love to hear a take from you. So if you had first pick from these players that are here, who would you pick? And why? And I think there's one obvious one, because there's an NBA player in there. I don't know how he's allowed to play in the celebrity game. But this is the rosters that's there. So use the Zoom raise of hand if you want to give us a take on this celebrity game. We're not going to spend too much time on this because it's really kind of entertainment. I want to get into your takes on some of the stuff that was in the Pat McAfee show, but I thought this would be kind of a fun thing to start with. I'm not seeing any Zoom hands up, so I'm going to go first then. And okay, we got some here. Let's go first to Andrew.
Take Meta World Peace #1. He's an NBA champion. He's a great defensive player. He's a two-way player. Somebody on there that I like, Tristan Jazz, is like a YouTube hooper. So he's a flat out bucket. That's somebody that's kind of under the radar. You'd also have to think like Puka Nacua and Micah Parsons are going to be monsters on the boards. CJ Stroud probably nice with some dishes, some assists. And then there's a couple WNBA players in there that you obviously have to respect their game as well.
Yeah, cool. That's a good overview. Who was the one that you said was is a hoop YouTuber?
Tristan Jazz. He's like a short white kid too, so not somebody that you would be like, oh man, he's really gonna light it up, but he's got range. He's got serious range.
Okay, cool. That gives me somebody to look for in this game. Do me a favor, go ahead and put that player's name in the YouTube chat for our audience that's watching online, in case they're wondering who you're referring to. All right, Cameron. Andrew took Tristan, and let's say Meta World was my pick because he's the only one I know. You got next pick there. Who do you like from this board?
I just wanted to echo on Tristan Jazz. Yeah, he's a very entertaining player to watch. He goes to parks and he calls out the city's best hoopers. He puts together a team and they end up just blowing them out. And another cool thing about him is he has, if you look up his Instagram page, he has a lot of these cool trick shots, a lot of fancy layups, cool trick shots, almost like Dude Perfect, if you've ever heard of those guys. But he has a pretty awesome YouTube or Instagram page. You guys should go check it out. And if I had to grab anyone out of here, I might go with Micah Parsons is athletic, right? He's got it. He's one of the fastest linebackers in the NFL, and he's going to show up with some physicality on the court. I like him. So I'll go ahead and grab Micah Parsons.
Yeah, Micah Parsons. Okay, yeah, I think that's a really good pick. I'm kind of surprised that an NBA player would be allowed to even play in here with risk of injury, and basketball so high. I think I saw something that Stephen A. Smith got injured today somehow in the in the warm-ups. That was probably just something to hype up the game. All right, well, this celebrity game is about to tip off. We'll keep an eye on it. So basically what we typically do is we've got kind of at home, we've got the game on there, and then if something happens in the game, would love to get your take live on that, because our audience that's watching online, they're coming, they want to kind of follow the game and talk about the game. And then we're adding our commentary in here. So one of the things we started doing was responses to takes that were on the Pat McAfee show. And there were some really interesting ones that he had today. I want to pull up some of these clips and play them for you. And then I'd love to get your take in response to what Pat was talking about. And so this first take is, this first scene is from the New England Patriots Dynasty series that's coming out. I think the first 2 episodes are out. It's on Apple TV. And they've got Adam Vinatieri here. And they're kind of talking about, why people hate the dynasty or why people like to cheer against the favorite. And I'd love to get your take on that. We're going to go around the horn. If you've ever seen that show, Around the Horn, and get everyone's take on this that wants to chime in. But first, let's check out the clip.
Yeah, of course, the military effect. Yeah. But were the Patriots already hated by the time you left there? Yes. I would think anytime you have that type of success that people start. Well, here's the thing, right? The Patriots, from inception when Robert Kraft bought it, they were kind of the bottom team in the AFC East at the time. That was whack when they were in the AFC East. And, they went to the Super Bowl in '85 and they lost to Chicago and Refrigerator Perry and all those guys, right? But there was a lot of meek years in there. So when we went to the Super Bowl in 2001, we were huge underdogs. I think the whole world was cheering for us. That changes pretty quickly after you have a bunch.
So I would ask you about the Chiefs.
because it's happening right now. For sure. We had Patrick Mahomes on the other day. He seemed like the coolest dude of all time. Every interview he does seems like an actual human. He likes ketchup, which I appreciate. You know, he doesn't have like the finer taste. Now, his new house is awesome. That new house that he has numerous houses. Absurd. He's golf holes outside, doesn't he? Yeah, he's living high society for sure, but like people hate the Chiefs now. Like that is too much greatness, too much winning, too much success, too much exposure. For the Patriots, what do you think it was? And do you think it's just natural? Here's the thing, right? Everybody wants to see the underdog win. I was cheering for the 49ers because I wanted to see, Purdy, the Mr. Irrelevant win one, right? And I hate it when they always sit there and go, Patrick Mahomes, Purdy, they're not playing against each other. Purdy's going against the Chiefs defense.
So that's Adam Vinatieri's response to the question. Let's go around the horn here. I'd love to hear from you guys. What is it that makes you or makes you cheer against the favorite? Go ahead, David. Let's have you go first, and then we'll go to Moses, and then Heather, and then we'll circle back to Andrew and Cameron.
Yeah, for sure. And I also want to point off by saying that I can dislike a team and still have a healthy respect for them, whether it's the Lakers, the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Warriors, what they put together. The exception to the rule being the Patriots, as good as they were when it came out, Spygate, and then later Deflategate, and then later them recording the coaches on the sidelines. It's very hard to respect them. I think Brady's one of the greatest ever. I think Belichick's one of the greatest ever. But it's really hard to respect because you always want to knock off the champs or the perceived best team. And it's always like, man, like nobody can beat this team. I'm tired of seeing this team. But like I said, there's always a healthy level of respect with it. It's hard, like I said, it's hard to respect the Patriots with everything that's ever come out with them.
Gotcha. Okay. Obviously I'm a Boston guy. I live in Tampa now, 20 years. We're gonna have a fun contest to see if you guys can guess who my jersey is of today, by the way. The typical Boston response to that is, whenever you're on top, people just find things to pick at you like that. That's what the haters are going to hate, right? That's what Michigan said Ohio State was doing when they got accused of cheating this year. And then they're like, everybody does this stuff, but because we're on top, they're making a big deal about us doing this stuff. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'd love to get some more takes on this. Moses, what are your thoughts about why are people hating on Kansas City and New England and other top teams?
Well, like you said, people just like to hit on greatness. We've seen it with, the Chiefs over the past 5-6 years, people photoshopping refs with Chiefs colors and the Kansas City logo on their chest. I mean, there's some calls that are missed, but the Chiefs, as a Steelers fan, we hate everybody. I support the Chiefs because, it's Pat Mahomes is literally a bionic form of a quarterback. We seen, with the Steelers when they went undefeated in 2020, we went 11-0, and everybody was giving us flack until we lost to the Browns. And everyone just likes to hate on the best teams in the league.
Why though? I want to unpack that. What's the psychology you think of why they want to hate on the best teams?
Their team sucks. That's part of the reason, and people just, like you said, people like to hate on greatness. They don't like to see other teams but theirs succeed. It's when their team succeeds, everything's fair, everything's cool, the calls are good. But then when they see like the Cowboys, Eagles, Chiefs, the Patriots, I'm going to say this about the Patriots, and I hate them, but honestly, with the Spygate, the Flakegate, and the Radio Gate with Mike Tomlin when they played at home, I forgot what year that was. I think it was 24. Come again?
No, we had a clip from the video, but yeah, you were saying about the Tomlin Radio Gate.
Yeah, Tomlin was accusing them of doing that. And I mean, based off of the 3 cheating accusations and the 2 things being found to be true, I can't respect the Patriots run whatsoever, man. I think that thing was completely cheated the whole way. The psychology behind that is no one likes to see no one but their team succeed.
Yeah. You think it's jealousy? Is it envy?
Pure, yep, jealousy and envy, and especially when if the Chiefs again, they just see greatness before them, they can't believe it. If they're not a Chiefs fan, it's just straight hate.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What's your take on this, Heather? Why do you think people hate the teams that are always winning? And do you have any teams that you root against? Oh, you're on mute.
There you go. I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yep, you're good now.
Okay, good. Personally, I think it's like an inferiority complex situation. I took some psychology in school, so I'm kind of like a mini psychologist, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I think it's that, and I just think there's ego attached to it. Like they think that they're like the best ever and all that. But I think what really helped the Chiefs win, in my opinion, is the Taylor effect with Taylor Swift. Like every time she was coming at the games, she's dating one of the Kelsey brothers, and like everybody was like tuning in, giving them like really good ratings, like almost like a marketing thing, even though people think otherwise, but it kind of comes across that way. And then a lot of people started really getting into it and watching it. And I think that I know they're good for what they are, but I still think they're an underdog team, even though they won the Super Bowl.
Do you
So
think the inferiority complex, that's a really good point, in ego. And you think the
Yeah.
Taylor Swift involvement
effect, the Taylor
created more hate, you're saying,
Yeah,
right?
kind of, because like even a lot of like girls and like young girls or fans of hers, or even like daughters with their fathers, were like starting to really tune in, and like they all wanted to see Taylor. Like, what's she gonna do? Is she gonna be in the box? Is she gonna be with the other wives? And that was like a big thing. Like it was everywhere. I saw it constantly all over the news. But like, I mean, whatever works for them, I guess. I
Yeah.
guess it just depends.
Yeah.
I never hate that much on teams, honestly. I'm like trying to be the neutral party here.
Hey, well, they say in marketing, the best thing you can do is have half the world hate you and half the world love you,
True.
right? Donald Trump's probably the greatest marketer of all time because he's
Yeah,
got half the world
exactly.
hating him, half the world loving him. I don't get involved with politics, but I'm like,
I
that's
don't
exactly
either.
how you're supposed to
Keep
do it,
smashing
is
it.
what he's doing. You divide. I don't think that's good for a country, but it's good for marketing.
Yeah, no politics, no religion. Everyone will attack you. Plain simple. No matter what you do.
Yeah. What about do we have any baseball fans here, Cameron? Do you follow baseball? And Andrew?
Yeah, I
I
do
would love
follow baseball, and there's a reason why there's two teams I dislike in baseball. But first things first, am I allowed to go ahead and guess that jersey right now? Because I believe,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I believe that you're wearing a Duke jersey, and that Duke player has ties to the Celtics. So I'm gonna guess Jason Tatum.
Woo! Hey, that was good. I hadn't even shown the number yet. You just went right
Yeah,
to Duke the Celtics.
yeah.
Duke
And so
0.
there's
I
two
got
teams that I don't like in baseball. That's the two big market teams, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees. I absolutely hate how they think they can buy talent onto their roster, and yet they lose every year in the playoffs. But I hate how they think, even if they do win, like as a Giants fan, I feel like the championship is more earned if you draft that team, right? Instead of bringing all these stars. And I know you could say the Warriors, you can say, oh, you brought Durant in and those were easy chips. Well, they built that team first. That team was built, and there was a championship brought to that team before Durant left, and there was another one brought after Durant left. But I think fans, also another reason I think fans like to hate on seeing successful teams is they just get bored seeing the same teams in the championship game. People get bored seeing LeBron there every year. People got bored seeing the Warriors. People got bored seeing the Patriots. They just want to see something different. So that's why I believe. And no matter what you do in life, too, no matter, you're gonna have hate. Someone's gonna hate on it, right? You're successful. If you fail, you're gonna have haters. I always say that if you got haters, you must be doing something right.
That's a good quote. Yeah. And I brought up baseball, and I appreciated your take about baseball, because the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Yankees, Red Sox, it just seems like those teams are always like hated, and they have a national fan base, but then they're hated. And baseball seems to think that's good for the sport, to have like the evil empire that everybody every year is trying to beat. Like from a marketing perspective, I think baseball has that right. That's what you want, the same team that everybody's trying to go against and beat. Personally, I prefer how football's set up, where like almost everybody has a chance, and usually it's not the same teams making the playoffs year after year. That's been, not as much recently. What's your take on this, Andrew? Why do you think people hate on teams?
Simple. It's because it's not their team. If it was their team, they'd be loving it, just like you love the Patriots. When the Patriots were a dynasty, I rooted against them every time they were playing in a Super Bowl, except when they played the New York Giants. I'm an Eagles fan. I didn't want to see the Giants win, so I was rooting for the Patriots in those Super Bowls. I generally would root against the Chiefs, except I'm an Eagles fan, so I hated the 49ers this year. So I was happy to see the Chiefs win. And then to go over to baseball, I've been paying attention this week. I know David's a Houston guy, so I hope he doesn't hate this take too much, but gotta hate the Astros. Gotta hate the Astros. The Astros are the biggest cheaters there ever were. Worse than the Patriots. Like the Patriots still had to play the game. Jose Altuve didn't have to play baseball. He was just guessing, oh, wait, I know it's a fastball because I'm getting buzzed. The Astros are the most hateable team of all, in my opinion. And yeah, sorry, David. I'm firing shots at you.
Nice. I like someone more than Duke is hated, but I'll let David respond to that.
So you mentioned the buzzer thing. The buzzer thing is complete nonsense. There's no buzzer thing. It's been proven. The whole I'm Carlos Beltran's niece, that was some fake person's account. So that, number one, is complete nonsense. Two, as far as the Astros cheating, I mean, we did the same thing everyone else was doing. Carlos Beltran, I hate Carlos Beltran. Loved him as a kid. In 2004, when we traded for him, he had the most amazing postseason run and decided he wanted to take off to be a New York Met. So even when he came back to the team, I could not stand him. He's the one who actually installed the whole bang the drum, record the signs. That came from the New York Yankees. So he said we were behind what every other team is doing. So did we do something that we weren't supposed to be doing? Just like every other team was, we were just better at everyone else at it. That just comes the breaks. Oh, one more thing. Altuve's proven not to have cheated. He said he didn't want any of it. Josh Reddick, Altuve, and McCann were the three people completely innocent. Ask anybody who did the interviews of all the players. Those were the three players. And I wish Josh Reddick would have cheated because he was ass cheeks. Absolutely terrible. Altuve is just that dude. Hate to break it to you.
You got people firing shots saying the Patriots were 100% complicit. What about the gas law? I'm not smart enough to know about the gas law, but like we know that the Astros cheated, the Patriots, the Deflategate stuff. They would have beat the hell out of the Colts either way. So that one really
the Patriots got caught doing something no one else was accused of doing. No one's ever come out and said the Colts were doing that, the Seahawks were doing that, nothing. But with the Astros, there's been other people coming out saying they were banging the bench with the massage gunner. There was a person out in the outfield flashing their shirt when it was going to be a breaking ball. There was somebody out in the dugout with the Apple Watches, which the Yankees and the Red Sox got caught doing as well. There's so many other things that were happening. But in the NFL, only the Patriots are ever getting caught doing anything like that. Other than the Browns when they were using their cell phone on the sideline, but they sucked. So no one really cared about it.
Yeah. So, I have an interesting philosophy on this topic of hating. And to me, it's more at a player level than a team level. Like I like to root against the players that I feel are like born with the spoon in their mouth. LeBron James, Peyton Manning, the guys that, just right coming up were anointed. I love to see them. I love to see Steph Curry, the little guy, beat LeBron. That's what made me a Curry fan, watching those Christmas games when he would scoot right around them. I love seeing Brady beat Peyton. I love when my Celtics team beat, with Kevin Garnett, beat Kobe right? We've taken down like the anointed one. And those are players that I like to root against. And this was another interesting thing that they got into in the Pat McAfee show. Vinatieri was kind of commenting that he feels football as a whole, thanks to fantasy football and online sports betting, has become more player centric and less team centric. And I don't know about that. Like, I still feel like everybody has their home team, everybody has their favorite team. I'd love to get your take. I mean, I also have players that I like. Like, I like to watch Steph Curry's game, because I appreciate greatness. And from a little guy like that. And I like to watch Zion Williamson, right? He's one of the anointed ones that I'm cheering for. So I have players I like to watch, but I still have my teams, right? And my teams are, the Boston teams that I've adopted, the Bucks, since I've lived here 20 years too. What do you think about the sports becoming more player centric? We'll start with Cameron.
Well, I think fantasy football has really brought in a lot of fans. So when you say that a lot of people are tuning in the game just to cheer for their guys on their fantasy team, right? They could give two craps about the Panthers, but want like Adam Thielen when they tune in on the game or something. Adam Thielen, they want him to get 20 points, and in fantasy football, you get a lot of bragging rights with your team and how your team is doing, especially against your buddies. So I think the NFL has brought in a lot of fans just because of that, some fantasy football and social media too. Social media has helped blown up the sport as well. You got players in their accounts; they got their big followings as well. So those followers want to tune in to see them play as well. So I think a lot of fans are tuning in to see player success as well.
Yeah, and it's
And I think
interesting you mentioned the players, with their own social medias, their own branding deals. That's becoming more and more mainstream too. Vinatieri talked about, he started, of course, late 90s and played for 25 years. So he's lived through the whole social media growth that nobody cared anything except about the team winning. And you all hoped, hey, if we get to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, we'll all get, media exposure. Now it's become more of the players want their own deal or their own take. What's your take on this, Heather? Do you have any favorite players that you like to follow? And do you see that as a trend?
I think it is. I think it's a trend. And I also think it has to do with the exposure that they get online. And I think commercials are a big thing. Like back in the day, this was way before my time because I was born in 89, but Michael Jordan, for example, he was doing a lot. You saw him everywhere constantly. He was doing ads, commercials with celebrities and everything. And he was getting himself out there. And then of course, Air Jordans obviously made a big thing for people and they were all over. I mean, they wanted those sneakers constantly, and everybody was obsessed with him. And then Michael Jordan's made a name for himself for years. He could literally stop playing and you'll still know who he is. And he was in Space Jam. So
Yeah, it's like they all have different commercial deals now instead of just Jordan.
yeah, endorsements. And I think just getting themselves out there, doing a lot of interviews, PR work, and then trying to be the average person, let people know yeah, I play sports, but I'm still down to earth. I'm still this guy from way back when. So I think kind of getting that take on it, I think that's, just be okay, I'm not this elite sports player that's better than all of you, I'm still the same guy from college, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go to Moses and then Andrew next on favorite players in this trend. I wanted to see if any of you guys see a website that has an updating box score for the celebrity game. Let me know. I want to pull that up for us to watch here. It's not on the normal ESPN.
Also, I just want to say, I'm looking at the chat. GBTV, if you think Beltran was lying, come on here.
Yeah, we should take and keep an eye on the chat here as well and get everyone who wants to join us up here. I put the Zoom link in here for us. Let's see. Larry was saying that I haven't let him in the Zoom room. I'm gonna make you co-host. so that you can also keep an eye on the Zoom room in case sometimes I get talking and miss it. But yeah, let's hop back over to the chat and just get everyone's take on this if there's anything in here. It's pretty people don't like when their team loses. So when one team constantly win, the other fan base is angry their team isn't winning. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Back on our other topic, I my light keeps going out here. I need to click on that to turn it back on. I feel like I look a little ghostly, but I think it's so interesting to me. I like to tie in the life and business lessons into our fandom. Us as sports fans, I feel like we can all appreciate greatness in people. We all, like Kobe, I hated going against him, but when he died, I cried, and I could still recognize his greatness. And I think sometimes we forget that that's not how most of the real world is, right? Most of the real world just hates on people's posts and anonymously comments, telling people they look fat or they're dumb, or most of the world is like bullying. And whereas in sports, we can kind of be like, yeah, people do that because they want their team to win, but it's all in good fun. We kind of see things from a different perspective in sports. This is one of the reasons when I consult with companies about hiring, I always recommend they look for people that played team sports. They're able to put the team first. They kind of get just a different set of values that not everyone gets. Let's keep an eye on this celebrity game and see what's going on, what the score is here. Waiting for them to give us an update. And I want to go into another clip from the Pat McAfee show that I think you guys will find really interesting.
I got to challenge one thing you said, Greg.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm shocked that we're going to say that LeBron is the silver spoon guy and Steph Curry was not the silver spoon guy. Steph Curry's dad played in the league. He was on NBA floors his entire life. LeBron grew up from nothing, had to live with a single mom and was, I agree with you, anointed the chosen one at an early age, but I would argue Steph Curry would have been way more the silver spoon kid than LeBron.
Well, I mean, nobody wanted Steph coming out of college, right? He didn't get any D1 offers except besides Davidson.
Yeah.
Whereas LeBron was the number one pick coming out of high school. And I also think for me that it's the big guy versus the little guy type of a David and Goliath scenario. And I also already had a history of going against LeBron from when he couldn't beat Paul Pierce. Oh, I love those days. Because I didn't even really love Paul Pierce. Honestly, I considered him like the worst of the all-stars of his era. And when he was able to go toe to toe with LeBron, I'm like, oh, this is just great. This is for our city of Boston. I said we were going to go to Moses. Moses, who are some of your favorite players, and what do you think about the trend of sports becoming more player centric?
So some of my favorite players that I follow on a weekly basis in the NFL, the players like Josh Allen, Micah Parsons, Micah Fitzpatrick, Lamar Jackson. These are some of the players I keep my eye on. And as I get into FanDuel this year for the first time, those are some of the players I'm going to go be trying to get on my fantasy team. I know it's a little tough getting some of the higher players. But now the pros and the cons kind of are hand in hand with each other with the sports betting aspect, because you've got the pro that it's going to bring a lot of revenue towards the company, a lot of views towards the company as well, ratings. People are going to be tuning in a lot more to look at specific players. You're going to get all these people who don't watch sports but want to go ahead and bet, to go ahead and make money to look at these games. Now, the con is it's going to put a dent to the reputation of the NFL, certain sports, because when you look at social media handles like Bleacher Report, House of Highlights, stuff like that, 90% of the comments are people accusing the NFL of being rigged, and now this betting's coming in, the trend is going up. People are really attacking that opinion, and that's always been a thing. Now it's getting even more apparent now and in our face. So the trend, I'm cool with the trend, but there's a huge amount of people who just don't like how the sports betting thing is becoming a huge thing.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. It's a good topic for us to touch on if anyone else has a take on it. I think back to this year at the national championship game. It was a Monday night game. Michigan was heavily favored against Washington, and the sports bar I was at was absolutely packed, and everyone was going nuts every time Michigan scored. And I'm like, there's no way any of these people from in Tampa went to University of Michigan. They must have all bet on this game and are now all like rooting for this like it's their home team. I don't even know if they cheer that much when the Bucks win. So it's interesting how that has kind of can shape people's loyalties for the night. People can be bought so easily, by throwing down a simple bet like that. Sports betting and Moses, you make a good point about, the leagues now, are in bed with the sports betting teams. In the last 4 years, they have partnerships, advertising partnerships with FanDuel and Underdog and all the big ones. And that seems like a conflict of interest. And whether I like to think nothing is being fixed in sports, but just the perception that things could be fixed is a big problem. You don't want to deal with that. I personally don't think that the sports betting being so prevalent is is good for the game, and that seems to be where it's coming. You can't bet in every state still. A lot of the states that I'm in don't allow online betting, but they do allow betting on players, like fantasy betting. That was kind of an interesting loophole to how they're able to do that. What's your take on sports betting, Cameron?
Oh, I was just going to mention the fact that sometimes it does make you raise eyebrows, especially when you got your mainstream names, right? Like Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. It seems like they'll get the call to go towards them a little more, especially in a tight game. I seen Brady get some questionable roughing the quarterback calls. And the thing about the Chiefs, like I just saw an interesting stat yesterday. In 13 quarters in their last 3 Super Bowls, they've had 0 holding calls called on them. Either that's really impressive and their O-line coach needs a raise or something, because last I checked, Chiefs had the most holding calls this last season and got 0 in the Super Bowl. So little interesting stat right there.
Yeah, I've seen a reel going around, a 60-second clip that shows 4 holding penalties on the Chiefs that they didn't call. The interesting thing on that is, and I want to go to Andrew and then we'll go to Moses because we were just on Moses, was Vegas says that they wanted the Niners. They said they got slaughtered. Everyone was picking KC because of the Taylor Swift thing, the Pat Mahomes thing. And so it's the casinos, unless we're saying that's PR spin, and the casinos are saying that, the public, so if they're fixing the games to win in the casinos, it should have went the other way. If they're fixing the games to win for the growth of the games, that's kind of a different conversation. Sports betting really doesn't impact that. I don't know. What's your take on that, Andrew?
I feel like I'm on the opposite end of what you guys have been saying. I'm a huge gambler, been a huge gambler for a decade plus. I love having juice on the game. It would make me care about random NBA games on a random Thursday night. I'm not really going to care to watch New Orleans versus San Antonio on a Thursday night unless I take New Orleans minus 3.5, and now I'm locked in until the very last second. So I've always been a big gambler. Another thing that I think that it's going to help with is we saw what happened with Joe Burrow this year. They had that picture that came out with him wearing the cast. Then they deleted the picture. He wasn't on the injury report. Then all of a sudden he's out of the game less than a half in. There's going to be a lot more detail put into those injury reports. And I think that not only will it help the gambler, but also those people that are playing fantasy football. I'm sure you were pissed off if you started Joe Burrow in whatever week that was, and he put up 3 points when you could have started, I don't know, Brock Purdy, and he could have won you that matchup.
Yeah, good points. I mean, we all got to have equal information in order for it to be a level playing field, in the betting world, in the fantasy football world. And that's something that's going to become more and more of an issue if people aren't disclosing things. What's your take, Moses, on sports betting?
So now I'm going to come back and say this, man. And they do heavy vetting of the officials, but you can always speculate officials betting as well, you know. And this goes hand in hand with some of the crazy calls we've seen, like Cameron mentioned with Tom Brady. I remember this one time, this defensive lineman barely brushed Brady, and they tried to call roughing the passer. I'll never forget that. I think it was against the Jaguars when they played in the AFC Championship game. But it just brings a bad light to the NFL with all these partnerships, and then you've got refs that could be doing that. Players who are hurt, let's say start like last year with Pat Mahomes with his knee. People could say that the NFL is pushing this guy to play because they know there's a lot of money on the line with this guy playing, with the partnerships. There's just these opinions surrounding that just make this sports betting thing seem a little awry, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to make a case that it's good for the game as a whole. If anybody wants to make a case for it, I mean, certainly on an individual level, I get the idea that maybe it makes it more fun. Let's hear from David. I don't want to steal any thunder. Oh, you're on mute still. You're on mute still, David.
I was just gonna say, as far as the sports betting tape, I don't think it's good for the game. And I think fantasy football, that being popularized the last 15, 20 years, was just the start of that. But I wanted to give a shout out to Sport Travel Coaster in the chat. He's watching. He's wanted us to talk about the game. So I'm just curious, is there who's been watching the game? Me personally, I'm disappointed in CJ Stroud because he talks a good game about basketball and he's been fumbling and bumbling and missing shots. But I'm just curious to know what y'all's take on the game is. There anybody making y'all excited? Anybody that's making y'all not excited? What are y'all's thoughts?
Hey, back to back.
Yeah, let's just go over the score recap here. Team Stefan is up 26-22. And if anybody knows the site where we can broadcast the box score, let me know. I've been looking for it. Go ahead, Andrew. Did you have a take on the game?
I couldn't find a box score, but Shannon Sharp's team's coming back. They had back-to-back dunks from Micah Parsons and Puka Nacua. So kind of like the takes that Cameron said at the top, like, that these NFL freak athletes are going to be freak athletes, and they're throwing down some dunks.
Yeah, I just want to be like an all-star game, right? Lots of dunking, lots of fun plays like that. What are you seeing, Cameron?
You know what? I feel like I'm looking at the court more than the players. I kind of like this digital court.
Yeah,
but the WNBA players too, they're setting up nice pat. So is Tristan Jass. They're dishing the ball out to their players, setting up alley-oops. It's pretty exciting to see.
Yeah, let me see if I can put a picture of this thing in here. Okay.
Do you guys have like a favorite celebrity hooper who's played in this game in the past? One of my favorites was Quavo. He came out. He was a top athlete in high school. If you guys don't know who he is, he's a rapper for the Migos. And he was a top athlete. He was a two-way athlete in basketball and football, but he ended up choosing the rap career. But he came out in this game, and I think he dropped like 27 points.
Wow. Yeah, that court is pretty crazy. That's digital? Is that what you're saying? That's not.
Yeah, it's a digital court.
Yeah. That's like live in the arena too, which is sick. And you see the 4-point logo light up. I'm sure it would be incredibly distracting. There's no way they do it for a real game, but looks cool.
They have like the clapper thing on there, like as you're driving down or as you're shooting.
Yeah, like the gas station thing. Yeah.
Speaking of distracting, What is because yeah, I'd be looking all over the place if I was on that basketball court. What did y'all think of the play-in court? Did y'all find that distracting also?
Oh, I did not like that. No, I was not a fan of. I mean, some teams it look good, but with the dark red, dark blue, or just a green court, I wasn't a fan of it. It took my eyes off the screen, off the game, what was actually happening. I just felt like I was looking at the court.
Yeah,
For the
my eyes hurt.
in-season tournament, you mean, right? For those in-season tournament games?
In-season tournament games, yeah. I said play-in. I don't know why.
They were having colors that had nothing to do with the team, and it just looked like a bunch of Kool-Aid pouches in the baseline and stuff. It was disgusting, man. That was a horrible court design.
I'm sure, Greg, you're excited to see LeBron win a trophy this season that means absolutely nothing when he misses the playoffs.
I see Larry with a hot take. Larry says Kevin Hart will go down as the best player in All-Star game history. Change his mind.
I agree, Larry.
Yeah, Kevin Hart, man, his NBA days were classic when he would be sitting on the sideline. Right. They were wasn't it him and Adam Sandler? They were launching that movie series together, where they were all like the old dads or something, and they were really promoting that heavy. That's going back a ways. But yeah, the court has the clock on it. It's pretty crazy court, you know. I think for the celebrity game, they need something for people to be talking about, and the court is serving that purpose. I want to start looking into the Rising Star game too when we get to halftime of the celebrity game here, which we got a minute left to go. Love to do a fantasy draft and see who you guys would take in the Rising Stars game. Right. It looks like it's going to be rookies versus second year players. Is that how they're doing it? Or there was like 4 squads or something crazy like that.
Sophomores, yeah.
Rookies and sophomores.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you were right. It is 4 teams. They're playing like 2 semifinal games and then a final game. So a different format. I guess maybe that brings a little bit of intrigue to it. I'm sure they're not going to play full games, but yeah, kind of interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I think I put it up here in the background of me so we can see who's on the teams and start getting ready for our takes on that. Now, this is something that the Rising Stars is, I think, will be fun to see and speculate and learn about all these players. You know, so I'm really that's like the main event for tonight that I'm looking for. We're on a commercial break now with the game here. Good job, David, keeping an eye on our chat so that we have our audience here that's on the chat. If you want to join us on Zoom, we've got the Zoom link in the chat there. I get it. Some people are not camera ready. My daughter always jokes. She's like, you can't just expect people to be camera ready, Dad, especially women. We need some notice before we're going to come up on camera. And so I get it. If you want to enjoy the game in the YouTube chat, we still appreciate you being in the community and want to serve you and give you something good to talk about here, and appreciate you being in the conversations. Let's start looking at this Rising Stars list, and let's start at the top with Wemby. Is anyone have a take where they're disappointed in Wemby? You think he should have been doing more with what he's doing? You know, I don't see anybody saying they do. You know, I always think back to, you know, LeBron didn't get his team into the playoffs his first 2 years in the league. And Wemby, you know, his team's still in dead last. They sold off every asset they had to tank last year and get him. So I think people don't really expect too much from rookies. But I wanted to point out the reason I actually wore this jersey today, who's one of the most successful rookies of all time, a guy who actually led his team to the Eastern Conference Finals and took LeBron's Cavs to a 7-game series as a rookie. And that was a team that Jaylen Brown was in his second year and was not good at all at that point. They had Horford and Marcus Smart and a couple other scrappy guys like that. That was not a loaded team. Tatum was the star of that team. And not only did he take them to the playoffs, but all the way deep into the playoffs. And that's really rare. And that's when I bought the jersey. I bought the jersey when they drafted him. And And, I think people, as I look at what he's doing now and what he's capable of doing, winning rings, I look back at that. To me, Tatum did more in his first few years than LeBron did. And, has that kind of potential as he continues to develop here. And, Tatum, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals pretty much every year his first 4 or 5 years in the league, and with him as the main star player. So his trajectory of what he's done early, I feel I'm making the case for why Tatum is a better player than LeBron on some levels. And LeBron just pussied out. He just went and joined D Wade. And I really respect that Tatum is staying in Boston. He's building the team around him. He's got him to the finals once. He didn't play well in that finals, and he owned it. And I feel like long term, he's going to be a guy that is loved by his city if he spends his whole time in the city. The city's treating him right. It's a good sports city. That's why he's not leaving. And I'm excited to see what Tatum and the Celtics do this year. If Porzingis can stay healthy, I think that's a big if. I feel like a championship is coming their way. And let's think back to rookie seasons. With the Rising Stars game coming up. Does anybody have any memories of other rookies that led teams all the way? I mean, I would have to go back to like Magic Johnson. I don't know how old you guys are, but Magic, won a championship in his rookie year. Granted, Kareem was only 30 at the time and still in his prime, but Kareem was injured in those finals. Like, that's the only other player I can think of that led a team. It's one thing to go on a team and, be a role player, but to really lead a team that deep into the finals. Cameron, did you have a take on that with rookies going deep into the playoffs?
Yeah, I was gonna say you took what I was thinking of Kareem. He was the first guy I thought of. Kareem, I'm pretty sure he got an MVP his rookie season as well. I mean, that's unheard of. It's completely unheard of to have a rookie step into the
Kareem
league.
back when he was on the Bucks. They
yeah. When Kareem was on the Bucks.
Okay.
And he had a deep playoff run as well. And maybe most recently, if I can think of any players recently, I mean, Doncic, or Derrick Rose. Let me say Derrick Rose. D Rose, he had rookie of the year, but it was his following season. He followed up with, he was number 1 seed in the East, went toe-to-toe with LeBron. He was MVP winner that season. That was another debatable MVP. A lot of people think that LeBron should have got it that season. But D Rose, he had the top team in the East that year, and that was just following his rookie season. He's the youngest MVP to win the award. So that's another player that I think of.
That was his second season. Yeah, that's it. I didn't remember it being that soon, but I know he didn't have that many good seasons. But yeah, that was impressive. What do you think, Andrew? Who's the most impressive rookie that you've ever seen?
It pains me to say this, but you are correct. It is Jason Tatum. I'm a Sixers fan, so Jason Tatum should have never been a Celtic. That trade will go down as one of the worst trades in the history of the NBA. I like to say that it's all because the NBA planted Jerry Colangelo in the organization because they couldn't stand to watch Sam Hinkie continue to lose in order to win. He would have never done that trade ever, ever, ever in a million years. Markelle Fultz is he's just terrible. And on the opposite end of it, like you said, for Tatum to take them all the way there in his first year. And I think that, obviously you're a Celtics fan, but I think the comparison to LeBron is still early. He's got to win something. I know that at this point in LeBron's career, he hadn't won anything yet either, but I think that this is a year that it shapes up beautifully for the Celtics. Embiid being out, Doc Rivers coaching the Bucks, which is just a gift to everyone else in the East. I think that this has to be his year, and then maybe we can start those conversations. But I think you are correct that his rookie year is as impressive as they come.
Yeah, trajectory wise. But yeah, you're right. By all means, he hasn't accomplished, anything of what LeBron has done with his career. And yeah, that trade, it's still, I still don't even understand what happened because Boston traded down, right? We had the number one
And
pick.
got the best player.
We traded down to number 3 and somehow still got Tatum. You know, and Tatum wasn't that dominant at Duke, but I mean, he had all the measurables, and where Markel Fultz, like I don't even remember hearing about him in college. Like I feel like Danny Ainge just somehow sold, hyped that guy up somehow, and I still don't. I would that would be a good like 30 for 30. Like what went down? What were they thinking? Like, do they when they make a trade like that, do teams like would Boston have you like sign a contract like that you're gonna take fault, so we'll let you trade up? Like, what if it would have been
Yes.
amazing drama if like Philly said yes to
Duke
that to trick them and then took Tatum, right?
yeah, one. It would have worked out way better for the Sixers, but it clearly worked out for the Celtics. It would have been a perfect fit with Embiid too, just the perfect fit.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
Greg.
you guys
So,
already have Ben Simmons by then.
Greg.
Yes.
So you think that Tatum had a better rookie season than your guy Larry Legend?
Well, Bird, Bird went to the Eastern Conference Finals his rookie year. So yeah, I think Bird, is another one that we should put on that list. Good point. Good point.
Michael
And you
Parsons
could put
missed the
all
dunk.
three. You could put all three of those guys on that list. Larry Bird and his rival Magic Johnson. They both had incredible rookie years. And then so did the GOAT, Michael Jordan. Those are three guys. Great. They changed the league as soon as they stepped forward in the court.
Jordan, yeah. Well, Jordan didn't go far in the playoffs his early years, but I mean he came in as a scoring a scoring tirade. Yeah, I'm trying to think back to some of the Houston days. They obviously had Elijah. They were in Elijah's second year, they were in the finals, right?
Duncan turned
Lakers.
his squad around too his very first season. I think he has the biggest turnaround as a rookie from losses to wins. He came in the league and the Spurs just started winning right away.
Yeah, did they win? They win the title in what, his second or third year?
Yeah. Yep.
Uh,
David Robinson led the squad, but still Tim Duncan
Admiral.
was on it.
yeah. I mean, that's as we talk about teams, I talk a lot about the lead player. Like, there's always a Batman and a Robin on teams, and I feel like Robinson was still, in his prime. But Robinson got hurt, right? That's how they wound up getting Duncan, and they wound up with both of those guys. That was Boston. Boston was dead last that year. We had Coach Pitino wanted Duncan so bad. We all thought he was coming to Boston. We had somebody else's pick that year too. And we wound up with pick number 3 and number 5 and got Chauncey Billups and Ron Mercer instead of Tim Duncan. We were really stacking the odds to try to get Duncan that year. Let's see what we're at. Let's get a halftime score update here. If anybody saw what it was.
I think Shannon Sharp's team was up 6.
Nice. Yeah, interesting. They picked Shannon Sharp against
Even a
Stephen A, right? Those two guys go at it on their show head to head there as well.
Since they got WNBA players playing this game, it would have been cool to see Caitlin Clark participate in this game tonight too. It's pretty cool seeing her hit a logo 3 to break the record last night. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
she's something else.
Yeah, I mean it's in mid-season, right? So she can't really be in the NBA All-Star game in mid-season, but yeah, she's taken women's sports to a whole nother level. It's funny. I was when I was an undergraduate, I was the team manager for my women's basketball program. I went to Bentley College in Boston, and they're actually a Division II. They would be like Duke of men's D1. They're like the Duke of women's D2. Like they make the Final Four every year. So it was a great experience. Being a part of the program and just a great respect I got for women's basketball. the WNBA is growing. It takes time for a league to take on. Heather, do you have any takes on Caitlin Clark?
No, but I think one of the rookies that I can think of was CJ Stroud. I think
Yeah,
he was
CJ.
someone that I remember, quite frankly, and I think he's doing really well with his performance and his roster, and I think he's
Yeah. CJ Stroud definitely had an amazing rookie year this year, right? In football, and Puka Nacua too.
definitely.
Two rookies that broke a lot of records and won a lot of fantasy football leagues if you picked
Yeah.
up either of those guys on the waiver wire. It's funny we're talking about rookies and drafting. That's kind of a good segue into this clip that I wanted to play for you from the Pat McAfee show. And what they're talking about in this clip is the Patriots this past year, which is my team, cheering to lose. And because it's like we gotta blow it up and get a good draft pick. And I'm curious to get everyone's take on that. To me, that's just how I play. Like I'm in this to win a championship, and so of course we cheer to lose. I have no problem with that, but not everybody thinks that way.
Year of New England. The reason I'm still thinking about getting a Chad Ryland jersey, even though I know he's not going to be on the team next year, because he's the reason why we're the third overall pick. That Giants kick when he missed. Oh my God. That was the happiest I've been in the Colts suite all year. Legit. Screaming. Popped up out of my seat. I think Colts had ball, so stadium was quiet. Connor watching Giants Patriots. Down by 3. Chad Ryland has a chance to kick it to send it to overtime. He misses the kick. You hear Connor go, ho, 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 let's go! Yes! That goes through Lucas Oil Stadium. That goes through Lucas Oil Stadium. So I'm standing watching calls. I turn around and go, what happened? Because Chad Ryland just missed his 10th kick to lose us the game. Yes! We're going to be top 4 pick. It's like that was literally what you were thinking. And that's not good. That's not a good place for your team to be. I completely agree. And I hated it. I hated every fucking second of this NFL season. It really was brutal being that fan and having to frame it in my brain that we needed to lose in order to get to a position where we can talk about Super Bowls and, the dynasty going back through it. Obviously, that is a thought. But yeah, sometimes you got to root for the worst things to happen in order to get to the good thing. Chad Ryland.
Do you? I feel like that was me in this whole Boston year. It was really unwatchable for me. Let's take some takes on this. Do you root to lose? Let's see. I see some heads nodding. Yes, Cameron's got his hand up. We'll start there.
So I just got a question for David. I know he's a Houston guy. They were a bottom team in the league last year. I know they weren't. So were you rooting for them to get in the Wembanyama stakes or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember even when it was looking like we were gonna be number one, have the worst record in the league a few years back in the Cade Cunningham draft. That's where I was wanting to go number one, try to get Cade Cunningham with Wembanyama. I thought for sure this is the year, and of course, believe it or not, I don't know if y'all knew this. But we had the same record as the Spurs, so they decided who had like priority pick with a coin flip. Yeah, and we won the pick, so we won the higher pick, and the Spurs ended up getting Wembanyama because of that coin flip. So yes,
it's like the cross state.
I wanted Wemby, but
the cross state rival gets him too. that double bad when it's a cross state rival that gets them. So are you cheering for the Rockets to lose this year? Or are you like want them to lose every game?
No, at this point, we've got our coach, we've got our team. We're gonna see what ends up working out with Jalen Green. He's got some things that need to be worked out. But no, I think I'm hoping we make it to the play-in. If we make it, we lose even the one play-in game, the season's a success for me. We've already surpassed our record last year. I'm loving Udoka. I'm loving Fat Drake, Fred VanVleet. I'm loving Dylan Brooks, who I couldn't stand, but he's definitely grown on me. But no, we're gonna win a play-in game this year. If not, oh well.
Okay, so I think this is the difference between Boston fans and the rest of the world. Is I totally disagree. You do not play to make the playoffs. You play to win a championship. If I'm not winning a championship, I want to be in last place and get the best possible pick. What's your
eats
take?
at you. It eats at you.
Well, you've been there a long time, so we'll see how long I can take it. 1 year of losing, and I'm already getting antsy. Andrew, what's your take on this?
Gotta lose. I'm a Sixers fan, like I said. How many picks did we have in the top five? We had two number one picks, and both of them were swing and misses. The best thing we got was with the 3 pick. You just gotta hope for as many years as you're not competing for championships that you're picking in the top 5 and you get lucky. But like sometimes it's not even the top 5. You look at Giannis. We drafted Michael Carter Williams at 11 that year, and Giannis goes 15, and he becomes a cornerstone for a franchise and wins a championship. So, David, I think I'm with Greg here. It's nice that you got Jalen Green. It's nice that you have your coach, assuming he doesn't have inappropriate relations with anyone in the front office and you have to kick him out of town. But you still got to have picks at the top of the draft to hopefully get, like, is Jalen Green going to be a superstar, a number one guy on a championship winning team? I don't know. So I'd probably throw my eggs back in the top of the draft instead of trying to beat LeBron or Steph Curry in a play-in game to then go get slaughtered by Minnesota or OKC.
And I feel like Philly was the first team I used to hear that trust the process phrase, right? You guys were tanking. Did they get in trouble for tanking? I think like
kinda. Sam Hinkie got kicked to the curb, like kind of forced out of the organization, and has never been heard from ever again in the NBA. So I guess someone got punished, but not necessarily the team. Or maybe we did get punished because here we are a decade later, and what did the process result in? Just another second round exit.
Well, maybe the NFL should have put a lottery like they do in the NBA. Well, what do you think, Moses? You aspire to the playoffs or lose or win championships?
Man, with the Heat, man, I was disappointed in their 2019 draft pick of Tyler Hero because obviously now he's not really doing too much for the team, as well as them missing out on Damian Lillard. I'm half and half this year because the Heat, we've made it to the playoffs, and I was disappointed with that 2020 run against the Lakers and Jimmy Butler being hurt. Ultimately, with the Steelers now, I'm tired of them getting to the first round and bouncing out. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And honestly, man, next year, if we do not get a good quarterback, they better get Justin Fields, man. They better get Justin Fields in this free agency. I'm going to have to be anti-Steelers halfway, man, because I'm tired of the futility and the mediocrity from both of my teams right now, man. It's sickening. Yeah. For the rest of our fans are.
I want to hear from Heather and Cameron on this too, but I think my Tampa Bay Bucks, because I live in Tampa now, I've adopted them. They're a perfect example of this. Let's take this into football too. They want to re-sign Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. I'm like, for what? So that we can make the playoffs again next year? What? Why? You're not going to win a championship with a receiver in his 30s who has a long-term contract and Baker Mayfield. Blow it up, put in Kyle Trask, blow it up, and finish dead last and get yourself a franchise quarterback. Bring in Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, somebody who at least they're like lottery tickets. At least you have a chance. I'm so disappointed in Tampa trying to run it back with those guys.
Right, and to add to that, man, with the quarterback problem with Kenny Pickett and his 13 starts, turning 13 interceptions, man. I'm calling him Kenny throwing Pickets because this dude, I'm sick of it. Get rid of him. Let Mason Rudolph play or get another quarterback. Because Mason Rudolph in his few games he played last year was actually producing. There was hope with him. So Kenny Pickett,
yeah, you got to blow it up. Blow it up. All right, we haven't heard from Heather on this. What's your take on should we tank? Do you cheer for your teams to tank, Heather?
I don't, but I notice a lot of people do. And I think in terms of who they get in, sometimes I think it's a tax write-off to make more money or to do something. It's always like money driven. I just feel like that. And I don't root against them, but I'm telling you right now, a lot of people do. They're crazy what they do. They'll literally like break a chair or fall down the stairs just to make sure that somebody loses.
Because they
I
want their
can
team.
get over that guy's mullet in that clip. I was like focused on that the whole time.
Yeah, so you're saying, so who's your main football team, by the way?
Houston Texans.
Texans. Okay, we got a Houston fan here. So,
Yeah.
like the year before, I mean, you were cheering for you guys just to win as many games as you could,
Yeah.
right? And
Absolutely.
you'd rather win if you 2 or 3 or 4 games instead of like trying to lose them all so that you could get CJ Stroud. You like that strategy. Like, what if you didn't get Stroud? That strategy would in most years would cost you CJ Stroud, and you'd be stuck with Kenny Pickett's or something instead when you have a mid-level pick. I think Houston's the exact proof of why you do need to tank. I don't know if they were tanking. You think they were tanking that year, David? It sure seemed like it.
Yeah. So yes and no. The short answer, we hired Lovie Smith just so that way we could have a coach that year, because we had to fire the last guy because he didn't want to get in line. So yes, we were tanking. I think the team you saw 2 years ago was a lot wasn't that much different from the team that you saw this year. Obviously, we had we didn't have Dougie Mills back there. We had CJ Stroud, but no, we were absolutely trying to tank. And the rumor is that once Lovie Smith found out he was going to lose his job the night before, that's why he went balls to the wall to win the last game of the season against the Colts. And
yeah, because that's right. You guys
screaming.
screwed yourself. You screwed yourself out of out of the first pick in the draft by winning that game. Yeah. It was a crazy game, right? What happened at the end of that game? I forget.
Hail Mary. A Hail Mary is 50-50 to begin with. So a Hail Mary, fine, whatever. But we actually caught it. Akins caught the ball. Then we went for 2, and we actually got it. Instead of trying to play for overtime, we actually got the 2-point conversion. But with hindsight being 2020, we were probably going to draft Bryce Young. So who knows how that would have actually turned out. So, things worked out in the end, and then we ended up with CJ Stroud, and we made the ballsiest pick, ballsiest trade I've ever seen the Texans do, trading for Anderson with the third pick to get Anderson. With hindsight being 2020, that may have been the greatest win of all time for the Texans to date.
Yeah, I'm all about the tanking. Hopefully, we don't have too many more years of tanking in New England.
Hey, I was just about to ask you: were you rooting for were you as a Patriots fan? Where were you this season?
I was like, what are we doing? Why are we beating Buffalo? Like, we drove down the field and beat Buffalo. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, we're trying to lose. How do you not get that? We want the first round pick. We want the first overall pick. I don't like any of the other guys, besides first pick there.
I had a question for Moses. The initial reason I rose my hand, Moses, you were talking about the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh. You're saying play Rudolph. You say go after Justin Fields. The rumor right now is with Art Smith back there as the OC, which I think is a terrible hire. They're interested in Ryan Tannehill. One name we haven't talked about yet is your boy Danger Russ Wilson. What do you think about that if they were to go after him?
I actually like that. Russ is a veteran. You've seen him lead the Seahawks back in the day under the Pete Carroll system. I feel Mike Tomlin being another veteran coach, just like Pete Carroll, you got Arthur Smith back there, would actually fit way better than Ryan Tannehill, because we've seen his time on the Dolphins, his time on the Titans. It was futile. It was a waste of time. So if they pick up Ryan Tannehill, I'll be upset, man, about that one. I can't go with that. They already got Arthur Smith, and I got to trust Mike Tomlin. But Arthur Smith, really, Arthur Smith, really, come on.
Yeah, Arthur Smith and Tannehill, I feel like it's going to be the first losing season for Tomlin in a while.
Yes, yeah, we're gonna be 4 don't do it.
And the other guy, the one you like, Miller, right? He wants out. They're saying
Mason Rudolph or Ken?
Rudolph. Yeah, Rudolph is saying he wants out.
Yeah, and if he goes, it's a loss on his part, because he could potentially be the guy for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You've seen it in the playoff game, despite our loss in the games in the season. when Kenny Pickett was injured, he was performing. There's a light over him. And this summer during the QB camps, they're going to be battling against each other to see who needs to take the starting spot. Honestly, man, I think they should just automatically put Mason Rudolph up there and go for Justin Fields. Do not get Ryan Tannehill. Do not do it.
Yeah, I mean Fields, I think he'll be a first or second round pick. You'd have to trade to get him, but it'd be worth it for you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be worth it. So all right, I got another clip here I want to play. This is especially because last night we watched a brutal game between the Bucks and the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies won without any of their starters. Literally, Marcus Smart didn't play. John Moran didn't play. Who else? Jackson didn't play. Some guy, GG something, like lit up the Bucks. He looked like Paul George out there shooting threes. And so I want to play Doc Rivers post-game comment. Just a small clip of it. And I'd love to get your take on this and see, what you guys think of Doc, because we talked about Doc a lot last night.
Before the game, you mentioned how this can be a bit of a trap game. Yeah. What do you think of the guys' effort tonight? I thought we were bad until we needed to be. You know what I mean? Like, we started out the game.
All right, video fed up again.
You have to like 5 threes in a row, but we're standing there. We just, dare shots. Everybody in this league can play. You got to respect everybody. One kid made 3 in a row, and we didn't even adjust. So that's something, these losses.
Isn't it your job to make them adjust?
Ever. Does that change the way I think about the team and where I think no, it doesn't at all. I got a lot of confidence in this group, but we're going to have to make changes as far as how we want to play every night. And we ease into the game. That's everybody. We need the guys that can play defense to be better defensively. And we need the guys who are learning to play defense to be solid.
Learning to play defense in the NBA.
At the end of the game, we start playing hard, and we got right back in the game. It just tells you where we're at all game. These are tough games, though, and we knew it. Does that make the start to the second half more frustrating? No, it doesn't do anything. It really doesn't. We get to gather ourselves, get Chris back in a couple games, hopefully, I don't know when, and just build from there. In that third quarter, they scored 37. Yeah. You call a timeout, 47 seconds in. Yeah, that's notice where we're at. Like the first play, we gamble for the 50th time in the corner. Guy drives. We have to help, leads to a 3. We come back in this on our set. 2 guys forget what we're running. Then we miss the shot, and then nobody gets back. That's how we start out the third quarter. That tells you all you need to know about where our heads were. We had some guys here. We had some guys in Cabo.
Some guys here, some guys in Cabo. All right, let's go around the horn on this. I think that is hilarious. Cameron, what's your take on that? Doc Rivers.
I saw a clip. And one thing, since Doc Rivers has joined the Bucks, their defense has improved just a little bit, but they're losing games. They're, I think, 3-7 since he's joined the squad. And I saw a clip. It said, one thing that Doc Rivers hasn't done yet in this losing skid is blame his players, like scapegoat his players pretty much. And that's exactly what he did after this Memphis. Like, he literally blamed his players. And that's my problem with this. As a coach, you don't do that. If you see something wrong, then you give your 2 cents on how to improve. The coach is there to make the players better, especially the young ones. You don't just point your fingers and blame. I think the reason for the Bucks downfall has to do with Doc Rivers, and probably a couple guys in that locker room probably don't even want to play with him.
Yeah, I think you're on the right path here. I see the Philly fans. I can't wait to hear what Andrew has to say. But let's go to Moses next. What's your take on Doc Rivers?
It was appalling when he said, learning to play defense in the NBA. That's something you do even at the peewee level. You start to build on that as you go up and up. And in college, you solidify it. In the NBA, you learn more, but that's not where you start to learn defense. Now, Doc Rivers lacks accountability. Like Cameron said, you're blaming the players. When you're the coach, you have the system set. When Dame Lillard was 2 for, I think, 5 going into the second half, why would you not tell that man to stop shooting the ball? Because in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, he's building a brick house now. The man finished, he was 2 for 12, and you decided he was going to be the final guy to take it to overtime? Come on now. Are you serious? So, yeah, man, Doc Rivers for the Bucks, that's a horrible fit, man. And the words he was saying was so contradictory of his position as a coach, man.
Yeah. What about Andrew? What's your take on that? I love this. Let's pile on Doc here.
Yeah, I'm really, really praying that Joel Embiid gets healthy by the end of the season and we end up as like the 6th seed and play the Bucks in the first round. Kind of like Cameron said, the defensive numbers might go up, but they're losing games because he's one of the worst in-game adjustment coaches of all time. Like, he won a championship in 2008 and he's still getting paid off a championship that he won with 3 NBA Hall of Famers. You could coach a team with 3 NBA Hall of Famers. Like, that team was stacked. And then throw in Rondo and KP. Like, that team was money. Doc, it's so refreshing to have Nick Nurse, like a guy that actually knows X's and O's. We call a timeout and we come out of a timeout with a play. Doc Rivers just sits in the timeout and you see it time and time again when the mic'd up come on. And he just says, come on, guys. Come on, guys. And it's like, that's the coaching you're giving. We're just come on, guys and guys. And clearly we're seeing the results of it. Like Cameron said, it's close games that they don't win. And that's coaching. And it's not because they have Giannis and Dame. It's because of Doc Rivers.
We got some Dame fans in the chat there. Don't like you putting blame on him. I'll let Moses respond to that after we finish going around the horn. Heather, what do you think about that with your psychology background? What's your take on Doc Rivers, especially the end? We're saying some of our guys are in Cabo, like already, like.
Well, like Milwaukee was 3-7, and ever since Doc Rivers took over, I think it's like a bad omen almost, like that's going over it. And he's kind of just like sitting there in the platform, like clapping for people, but he's not really giving like that team spirit to really get them in there. And he's not really giving good advice or anything. He's kind of just almost like he's sort of like a puppet there. You know, he's just kind of there and he's not really doing anything. So I think they need a new coach and they need to get I think they do. I think it's time.
They just hired him 2 weeks ago.
But it's not working out. I don't think it is. It doesn't look like
that would be some amazing made for TV drama if they fired Doc.
That'd be like the headline.
A few weeks
like,
after hiring
fired after 2 weeks only.
Oh my gosh. David, what do you think? You guys want Doc Rivers in Houston?
No, God, no. I remember when D'Antoni, when his contract didn't get renewed, Harden and Westbrook wanted Rivers, and that was one of the reasons that he ended up leaving. But no, I agree with Andrew's take. He's been living off of that 08 finals, and had he adjusted in 2010, which is for whatever reason, he just doesn't choose to do so. Had they adjusted in 2010, that was a very winnable final, so he could potentially have 2 rings. Honestly, he should have at least been in one other finals with all the 3-0 leads or 3-1 leads that he's blown. But it's funny how just listening to him, watching him, it's crazy how much he is like Mike D'Antoni. They're just players, coaches, like here for the All-Star game. Like, hey guys, go out there. Just, y'all are talented. Y'all will figure it out. Do your thing. And, it's just nothing ever seems to work when the players play their game. Great. But, when they need to step in, you don't see anything out of the coach. And I think this is going to be his last stop as a head coach. I was surprised that Milwaukee hired him to begin with. But the rumor is that there was some backstabbing going on to get that position. According to what I've read, the ESPN or the Athletic article, was Adrian Griffin, one of his mentors was Doc Rivers. So the Bucks organization was asking like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So the rumor is that he kind of advised maybe Griffin isn't ready for this. Maybe you should hire somebody like me to fill in the position. And here we are.
Yeah, I mean, Doc did have to beat Kobe to win that second title. I don't know how easy that would have been. But
They had
is there,
the lead. They had the 3-2 lead. Perkins blew out his leg. And yeah, there was no winning that game, but that game 7 was very winnable. That was maybe the worst final game that Kobe's ever played.
let's hop over to the chat here. I appreciate all our fans and want to see what they have to say on this here as well. Let me put this question out there. So if Doc is supposed to hold them accountable, like how does he do that? What does he let me play devil's advocate and say that maybe this is his way of trying to create accountability. Like, hey, I'm gonna like embarrass you guys if you don't step the fuck up. Is there anyone think that there's a what do they call it? An idiot savant or like a genius inside of what he is saying?
His thing is
How do you get the Dame to play defense?
Yeah, his things he's always had every team he's coached on, he's had a superstar, right? Whether it's a T-Mac in Orlando, Paul Pierce, the big ticket KG. I mean, KG's going to hold everybody accountable. KG's going to punch a guy right in the face. He had who was it? Big Baby. He had him crying on the bench one year. So when you're able to rely on somebody like KG, you're gonna play for championships. When you have a guy like CP3, you're going to be able to play for championships. But the problem is when people don't listen to somebody like a CP3 or T-Mac isn't holding them accountable or Joel Embiid can't keep the team together. What's he good for? Yeah, he's a great motivational speaker, but you hear the same speech over and over. It does nothing for you.
And you just look at what Doc's done consistently. Like you said, David, he's had superstars, but he doesn't put the superstars in the best positions to win. He's not scheming ways where his guys can be successful. There are ways that you could scheme Dame and hide him defensively, but Doc fails to do that or realizes how to do that. And we've seen that a little bit with the Sixers this year. Like Tyrese Maxey's not an elite defender, but they've made it work with him in that position.
Yeah, I think scheming is a good point. And Doc doesn't seem to really have anything up his sleeve for this team. Let's check in on our game here. The figures they're just about to come back from a commercial. We're in the stretch run. Let's see, what's the score here?
Hey, Greg. I like to respond to GBTV's comment.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, if anything, the last shot, yeah, Dame can make anything from anywhere, but in that game, he was performing so poorly. If I was Doc Rivers, I would try to set up Bobby Portis because Bobby Portis had one of the best field goal percentages that game. We've seen him in the playoffs make final shots, the game 5 in the finals to make, to drive the game home. Dame Lillard going 2 for 13 would have been unsettling for me as a coach to give him the last shot because, yeah, he's a star player, but he's not. You can compare him to Stephen Curry, but I'm not going to give him the same exact level of Stephen Curry. I can't go with Dame Lillard taking that last shot. I'll try to set up Bobby Portis at least because he can shoot threes. That's a hard take to put Bobby Portis out there, but I would have went with him better.
I think you got to ride Dame. Once you have him, you got to ride him for end of game. That's his specialty. And to me, that's like in fantasy football, like you got to ride your top draft picks no matter what.
He got the nickname Dame Time for a reason. He always shows up in the last 2 minutes.
He was having a bad game, and I don't know who was guarding him. If it was a bad,
I'm not discounting his past at all. The Trailblazers, he was the closer. Yeah, he was shooting from the logo and whatnot. But yeah, that game, I would have gave the last shot to somebody else who was doing better that game.
Hey, that's exactly what we want. It's different opinions here. So I love that. All right, let's see what we can get on this next clip here. They played this on the McAfee show today. Honestly, I didn't catch the context of what's happening here. This is a clip with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Klay has accepted a role coming off the bench. and it kind of looks like Clay snubs Curry in this, and we're wondering if there's a rift between these guys. And also, I need somebody to explain to me what actually happened in this clip because I missed the context of it. But I thought it was a really good clip.
Raymond finding Pajemski, corner three, got it. There's needed score, stop score, there's one. And they're going to foul Westbrook. And Bray, that was not what you wanted. Well, this can be interesting here. Coach Kerr reacted like he didn't want that to happen. He's a 66% free thrower, but still. Pajemski with that three.
There it is.
And it seems like we fouling on purpose there. What happened?
You guys catch that at the end there? It looked like Curry had his hand out, like to be like, hey, you're still my boy, even though you fucked up. And Clay just ghosted him. Cameron, this is your team. What's going on with these guys?
So yeah, he's just not the same player that he was. And honestly, he's a little upset too that the Warriors, they didn't give him the same contract extension as Draymond Green. So when you look at the Warriors' future, they're planning on keeping Green around, and Clay is going to be a free agent after this season. And also Clay, man, a lot of reason why the Warriors, a lot of their losses this year are really close games. They have the most blown leads in the NBA with I think 7-15 blown point leads, which is just terrible. And Clay or Steve Kerr a couple weeks ago, he brought out this new death lineup, which is Brandon Pajemski at the 1, Steph Curry at the 2, Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga and Draymond Green. That lineup right there, since they have a little bit of playing time, but if you look it up, they have the highest defensive rating it's by far the highest defensive rating in the NBA at 95. So they're able to get these big leads, bringing Clay in the game, and Clay is shooting up bricks. I believe in that Clippers game, he missed 12 threes. He shot 13 threes and missed 12 of them. So and what's crazy, and I think the role on the bench is that you just got to give Pajemski some more minutes. I think he needs his ego. It's a lot like when Carmelo Anthony was on the Thunder, right? He didn't think that he would be coming off the bench, but that's a better role for the team. When Thompson's on the floor, it's hurting the Warriors. He just does not fit with that starting lineup anymore. And he's a very streaky shooter. And I think coming off the bench will be a good experiment. It proved last night against the Jazz. He had 35 through 3 quarters. But when closing out games, I think Kerr needs to stick with his death lineup, especially with the great play with Kuminga. I think he's going to be a superstar in this league. And then Pajemski, I think he is the steal of the draft. He gets in there, he gets in the paint as a guard and will get that rebound. He'll find any open guy. He's a connector like Draymond Green. He doesn't really stand out on the stat sheet, but he helps facilitate everything. And another great thing about Pajemski is he's a rookie and he leads the league in charges taken. So he's just a better player.
Well, that was a great take from the team point of view. And Pujensky, is that how you say it? He's playing tonight, right? So I'm looking for him in the Rising Stars game.
Yeah, you can. Fans call him pods, but
I want to get a take from an outside perspective. Let's go to David. But I get everything Cameron said from the team's perspective, but how can Clay have a beef with Steph? Like, aren't they the Splash Brothers? Like, you would never turn on your brother.
In that moment, I don't think there's any beef. I agree with everything Cameron said. He's since that ACL injury, he's just not been the same guy. I think it's coming to a boiling point. However, in that particular moment, I think it's just whatever. I don't think it's that big of a deal. To be honest, somebody was saying that I think it was Heather with the psych background. They wanted to know what your take on the situation was.
Oh, me?
I was saying in the chat that was GBTV.
Yeah, I'd probably say it depends, because sometimes I think they have beefs just like to start drama and kind of get in the news and stuff. But personally, from what I saw from that clip, I don't think it's a big deal at all. I don't think there's anything going on. I don't think
Curry's like trying to hey, I know you messed up, but we're good, right? I mean, Curry's really making the effort, in my opinion, to be a good teammate. He knows we need Clay that we can still win this game.
And Clay had made a big mistake prior to that when Steph was trying to dap him up right there. Clay made a huge mistake. He did a take foul, and that sent the Clippers to the line. They were down 3. What they should have did right there was just play some defense, and hopefully you get a stop. But Steve Kerr was super upset at Clay. Clay was upset at himself. So, I mean, just at that moment, you're kind of putting your head on the floor a little, beating yourself up a little too hard right there. I've been in that position before.
I don't know, like you're supposed to be able to rely on your brothers when you're down. Moses, what's your take on this?
I think the media is just blowing it out of perspective, like usual, the popular opinion. They see what's going on in front of them and they think, oh, there's beef. These guys came in the league together. They got drafted in there. They've won many championships, have had great years, set records together. I don't think they have any issues with each other. It was just a small disagreement. Brothers fight, but the media is going to go ahead and try to amp things up to make it seem away. And honestly, I think Clay and Curry right now are laughing about it. Like, man, look at these guys trying to make nothing of something of nothing, honestly.
Good take. What about Andrew?
Disagree. I think this is something. I think Cameron kind of hit the analogy on the head when he was talking about Carmelo and OKC. It's an ego thing for Clay. He's not mad at Steph. He's mad that they drafted his replacement. He's mad that his replacement took the game-tying 3 opportunity right before that. And then he's not frustrated at himself that he makes the stupid foul. He's frustrated that he's not getting the opportunity to be a part of the game-winning moment like he used to. Like, it used to be the Splash Bros. Now it's not the Splash Bros anymore. And like you said, Cameron, I think that the writing's on the wall. They spent the money on Draymond Green. They drafted a guy to kind of play his role. And now you said the death lineup. He's on the way out. I think that it would be good for him too. I think a fresh start somewhere else could be good for Klay Thompson, where he can go and be that second, third option again. Because right now he's just not that on the Warriors.
Yeah, we had some Lakers fans calling for him last night. They thought another shooter in LA would go good with LeBron.
I do have a question since we are talking about Klay Thompson. My personal opinion was once he tore his ACL and you knew he was going to miss a season with a player that plays as much defense as he does, he was never going to be the same as old as he's gotten. Yes, they did end up winning a championship. Would you still, even with hindsight being 2020, you won a championship after giving him the extension? Do y'all think it was smart to give him the extension that he got?
When did he get the extension? Just this year?
When right after he tore his ACL.
Oh, after he tore his ACL.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, after he tore his ACL,
won a championship.
Won a championship, right?
Yeah.
So I think that it's hard to argue with that. I don't know.
But even when he won the championship, I would say Jordan Poole was a better player on that team than Klay Thompson was. And Draymond Green was a lot more of Draymond Green than what he is today, whether that be age or whatever. But I'm
Hey, David,
I don't think Thompson had as much to do with that championship as he did the previous ones. Is my opinion. That's why I was curious to know what y'all's take is.
Hey, David, quick question for you. You hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, didn't Clay recently say he's happy with dropping back into a role player type of role with the Warriors? Did he say that before, like recently?
I don't know. I don't follow the Warriors that closely.
Because
he just recently said it in his last press conference. He's starting to buy the role.
So this is kind of his fault in a sense because he's already said that to the Warriors organization and everybody. At the same time, as a vet, I'll defend Clay a bit. In a situation like that, he'd probably want the shot to go in the hands of someone who's familiar with that type of situation, and that's probably what ticked Clay off the most. He's like, man, I should have got that shot. And he's having the ego death right now. I do agree with Rain was saying in the chat, whoever that was. He's starting to feel some type of way about his words, backtracking a bit. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, there was a good comment in the chat about you had to give Clay the extension, for the fans. at coming back from that injury too. Let's see. We are going into the fourth quarter of the celebrity game now. It's a 1-point game. Let's all kind of keep one eye on this so we can give a take on down the stretch here. We'll put our full attention on this. I have one more clip from McAfee, and I saved the most controversial for the end here. I'm excited to get your guys' take on this one. I'll just kind of set it up blindly, and here we go. Of course, the audio is not on. Reset.
2020 should be a national holiday. Is that the take?
Let's see. Why is the volume not playing? There it is. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Play.
Happy 420 to all of you, wherever the hell you may be, whether it's on Sirius XM or watching along on YouTube. Now, 420 is obviously a celebration of, an herbal remedy that makes a lot of people feel a lot better about themselves, both physically and emotionally. And the range of humans that celebrate 420 can go from, some bum that's sleeping on a couch. I mean, that's going to happen every once in a while, but it also goes all the way up to the most successful people on earth. And I think for far too long, a certain plant has been labeled maybe a bum producer, a laziness creator, a inactivity starter. I mean, it feels like the way marijuana was viewed by some people for a long time is as if it was the worst thing on earth. Now, I happen to believe that's because a lot of people who are currently in power now and have a big say in the way things are run were first introduced to marijuana via the hippies after a war. And the hippies basically stood for everything that the people now and potentially in power that hate, marijuana, they hated everything that the hippies were for. So I think the first impression of it wasn't fantastic. And then the note to dope and then saying it was a gateway drug, which is an absolute bullshit statement. Okay, that is an absolute. I would assume, by the way, that anybody that has gone on to smoke meth, which, by the way, don't want you to do that, or to any other drugs, don't want you to do that. Those people, which is a very small percentage of people that smoke marijuana, guess what else? I'm assuming that they've smoked cigarettes before. I'm assuming that they have drank alcohol before. So if you want to label them all potential gateway drugs to the people in our society that is very unfortunate, that don't know how to control or maybe keep things, in proper perspective and go on to do something terrible, you can't label one thing as the reason for that entire thing. And this is not hey, it's better than alcohol or tobacco for you, because it certainly is, but that's never been a good sell. What I would like you to know is that marijuana is at this point of time that it's almost going to be legalized. I think it's only a matter of time. Maybe 2022, 420, we're all smoking together. Maybe 2023, we're all smoking together, because those people that have hated marijuana for a very long time have been kind of forced into trying it now at this point. And turns out they all fucking love it. There's a reason it's been around for so long. There's a reason that people have tried and smoked it in different fashions, whether, you're doing the peace pipe way back in the day, which is kind of evolutionized into, you can hit a bong if you need to. The bowl will always be there, which is what I was referring to for the peace pipe there. You can use a gas mask where you actually strap yourself into a fighter pilot's thing and have a steamroller out of the front of that and inhale it, and then you're just engulfed in it for a good 10 to 15 seconds for every breath, and you might as well say goodbye to yourself there. There's blunts, there's cones, there's plenty. There's water bombs. I mean, there's water. You can take a Gatorade bottle, cut out a little piece of your screen, go ahead and put that in there, make a bong out of it. You can smoke out of an apple. There is reasons why the multitude of things you smoke out of is the way it is, because people have been trying to smoke this shit for so long, because it is fantastic for you. It is great. It is awesome. And science proves it. People's happiness prove it. And I think the success of people that potentially use it also prove it. So if you're somebody out there that hates marijuana, I understand. I appreciate you, but you're fucking wrong. Happy 420 to you as well. Hope you guys have any incredible day.
All right. I thought that would be a fun clip to get some takes on. Pat talks a lot about how he smoked during his playing days in the NFL, and that a lot of players do and did. All right, we're keeping one eye on this fourth quarter of the game here. Moses has his hand up. We'll go to you first. What's your take on in response to Pat McAfee?
Well, what Pat McAfee was saying about the cannabis being used. Now, I did miss some parts of that because I was cutting in and out. Repeat back to me a few of the things he was saying.
He's just pro marijuana. He says that it's everyone in the NFL and NBA uses it, and that that you're crazy if you're anti-marijuana.
Now, it can be a destructive habit for athletes too, because I'm gonna say the effects of that thing can affect your thinking into the next day. It could make And let's say if QBs are doing it, halfbacks, it's going to affect their production. So if it comes to the point where it becomes chronic use, that could ultimately affect teams' productivity for those games coming up. If somebody's smoking the night before, that carries over into the next day. That effects wear off like 72 hours, depending on your body type. So, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea, in my opinion.
All right, let's continue around the horn. David, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people, throw away, sporting opportunities to go to college and, potentially be a generational, have generational wealth for their families over marijuana. It's not something I've ever touched, not something I'm interested in being around. If people want to do it, great. I mean, it's illegal here in Texas, but it's not something that I'm, not totally comfortable with. But again, people can do whatever they want. Again, I'm not anti it. If they want to do it, great. But I will say this: I'm never opposed to another holiday. So if it is a national holiday, by all means, another day off of work, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, Pat McAfee seems to be calling for legalization of marijuana, that essentially saying the things that we've just heard you guys say are not true, that it doesn't cost anyone their lives, or doesn't make anyone any lazier than it is. I think it's interesting coming from someone who's a public figure like him, who's on ESPN. I think it's an interesting take. Cameron, what's your take?
So my one take on it is I think these professional leagues should allow athletes to use marijuana. I mean, come on, using these cortisone shots and Vicodin and loading them up on pain meds, that's way worse. That's way worse. And it's even been proven in the NFL. I mean, your brain literally it rewire and you become more aggressive, it just switches up your personality. And if they're hurting, they'll jack you up on these meds and throw you out there. Or after the game, they'll jack you up on the meds. But it's illegal to smoke a little pot when that can relieve your stress and pain medication and all that. So I think I don't have any issues with it. I think that the problem is just with the states, right? You legalize it within all the states, then it can become a league-wide thing. And then with the taxes, of course, too, the government wants to get their deal as well. But yeah, I have no issue with it. I think it should become a legal thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. McAfee talked about, why is it even illegal in the first place? There's not really any proven negative side effects. No one's ever died from weed. And really what it was is the hippies, right? They were the government. The hippies were essentially trying to, stand against the government, stand against the war back in the day. So the government illegalized everything related to the hippies. And it's funny, like I grew up in the 80s, just say no. And you were like crazy if you do drugs. And now it's like the opposite. Now they're telling me, oh, you should take marijuana for if you're crazy. It's like literally flipped the other way. Like this helps with sleep. This helps with this thing. Try CBD, try all these things. I think that it's a really interesting topic. I'm not a regular marijuana use, but I'm not against marijuana use. And I find that a lot of my most creative, most connected, like heightened sensory moments or conversations or ideas have come when on marijuana. And so it's something that I strategically have used at times to kind of heighten. I feel more connected to sports, more connected to God, more connected to everything. I certainly couldn't use it every day. I wouldn't be able to function the way as I do. But let's continue to take some takes on this. Andrew.
I live in Colorado, so it's definitely legal here. I'm also a teacher, so I would say just say no to drugs, kids. It's definitely not something that's good for the developing brain. But yeah, for Pat, knock yourself out. It's definitely nowhere near as dangerous for you as drinking alcohol is. Like Cameron said, we're quick to shoot these guys up with Toradol and throw them some Vicodin. Boy, Vicodin and those oxys, those are as addictive as they come. And that's not the same thing for cannabis. And Pat's far from the only guy that has talked about this. Calvin Johnson go down as one of the greatest receivers of all time during his Hall of Fame speech. That was what he used his time to talk about, and talked about the benefits that he had using cannabis during his playing career. And he said he doesn't think he ever would have been able to play, even for his short career, as long as he did, if it wasn't for using cannabis. So there are definitely people that can use it in effective ways and healthy ways, but it can also be abused a little bit, like what Moses was saying. So to each their own. I live in a legal state. David lives in an illegal state. So if you're in a state where it's illegal, don't do it. If you're in a state where it's legal and you're 21 years of age and that's your cup of tea, then enjoy your cup of tea. I like tequila. Maybe you like vodka. To each their own.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting. I didn't realize you were in Colorado. I remember taking my daughter to downtown Boulder, because she'd never seen snow growing up in Florida. And we were walking around down there, and there was three girls that were about her age, probably like, 18, 19, 20, like just standing around with this sign that said free hugs. And my daughter was like, "What is that, Dad? That's like the coolest thing ever." And I'm like, "They're probably like, really high hippies. This is Colorado. That's what people do here." And of course, then you go to Texas, it's a whole different vibe there. The last business trip I had in Texas, they were telling me how, hey, we don't need America. We can be our own state. We got our own power grid.
Not all
You guys
Texans are
don't
like
get
that,
your
trust
act
me.
together. You don't get your act together. We can go be our own country. Heather, what's your take on Pat McAfee's 420 clip?
I think to get addicted to anything, in my opinion, if you are going to get addicted to something, whether it's alcohol or marijuana, for example, or anything like that, I feel like you have to have an addictive personality. And there are benefits that show with it, because I've heard people actually say that it's helped with swelling, like chronic pain and things like that, like when they have like, some kind of chronic condition. And I know people that have chronic conditions and they actually do take it and they say that it does help them and everything. So I think it's okay to an extent. I would personally never take it or use it. I never have. I'm one of these, like, I'm a very health oriented person, so I'm not going to put something like that in my body regardless. But I do think there's nothing wrong with it if they are taking that. I mean, it's better that than doing what they used to do back in the day in the NBA with all the pill popping and everything. So that's something that used to go on, and that was big. Like during the 80s and 90s, they were talking about it. And that was before my time, but I like a lot of like old school stuff. I'm into that. For being as young as I am, that's kind of what I look at, because I just think a lot of it is, I think he uses his platform a lot. I think that's another thing. Like back in the day before social media and before computers getting so advanced, people would just do stuff or say things, but it wasn't as widespread. Where I feel like with him, his platform, he's sort of using it to just like give his take on that. And there's a lot of people doing that with religion too. Like they talk about that, or like in the games, if they are religious or if they're not or whatever. And I think using their platform is a big thing. So I think he's using it for that. I'm not against it, but I personally think that if you have an addictive personality, I think you could possibly get addicted to it, even though it's not like hardcore pills or cocaine or anything like that. But I do think it's something that could happen, if you've got addictive personality.
Yeah, I mean, addiction to anything is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Addiction to sports, is or
Gambling too. If you're
any
gambling,
drugs
like
for
you're getting,
gambling.
like you
Yeah.
get that high from it and you want to place another bet on something and you win the first time or you don't. I think that's a big thing too. Gambling, you can get addicted to that too. And that's the same with the sports, especially like hockey even. If you're watching a hockey game or if you're watching something like that, you can get addicted to them scoring or whatever. So I think it's all like addictive personality. I think if you have that, then yeah, you possibly could get addicted to marijuana if you're taking it.
All right, our game is winding down here. It was a 3-point game just a few minutes ago.
Y'all see Puka with the handles?
Yeah. And then a hammer.
Yeah, Micah Parsons is the leading scorer. I think one of you guys picked him. And
I've got a couple questions. Heather, you said you're a Texans fan. Are you from Houston?
Yeah, I am actually. And I've
Great.
lived up north before too, because my dad's from Chicago.
Okay. And Andrew, you say you're in Colorado.
Yep,
Are you?
I live in Colorado.
Are you originally from Philly? What's up with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Born and raised in Philly, 4-for-4 Philly sports guy. Just happened to move out here from, I've lived a bunch of places. Lived in Alabama, lived in Florida, and now I live in Denver.
Hey, you're one of the nicest Philly fans I've ever met, Andrew.
yeah, you guys do have a bad rap though. But one thing I love about your city is everyone is 4-for-4. I never seen another, even in Boston where I'm from, usually you like 2 of the 4. And maybe if some guys will be 4-for-4, like even every single woman I've ever met from Philly, like follows all 4 teams. It's great. I'm like, find me a Philly girl, and
Love it. It's a very unique town. It's a very unique fan base. Like you said, Cameron, definitely have a rap for not being the nicest. But I like to say this. We see a lot of bad things happening in a lot of other sports. Man, I've been to 2 Eagles parade and a Phillies parade. Happy as can be. I've never seen more happy people in my life.
Yeah, the joke used to be when you're walking up to your seat, and most of the time you're hoping there's not someone sitting in your seat. Like, I don't want to have that awkward conversation. Hey, these are my seats. But Philly fans are like, oh, I hope somebody's in my seat. Then we're going to throw down. And of course, you guys used to have a jail in your old stadium, right? In the vet.
Yep.
Because there was so many there. And I feel like your players have always, like, between Iverson and Harden and Embiid, you like, and T.O., like you always wind up with a Barkley, right? Like the loudmouth players that fit the city so perfectly.
Jason Kelsey's the
Pardon
best.
loudmouth.
Jason Kelsey fits it perfectly. There's no one like him. I was saying even before he retired, build the statue of him in the costume from the parade. Like he's just a guy that gets it. And I feel like there are people like Ben Simmons was definitely a person that doesn't get it. But there are players where you don't have to be the best player in the league. Like Patrick Beverley was so beloved by the city of Philadelphia, and he was there for like 4 months, but he just there's an attitude that, and he leaned into it. So kudos to Pat Bev.
Does Kelsey live in Philly? Is he like a Philly guy?
And he married a Philly girl, like, you know.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Because I saw a great reel today with both of them. It was him and his wife. And the guy, I don't know if you guys have seen this. It was hilarious. The announcer goes, your jersey, this is Jason Kelsey, your jersey is the #1 selling jersey with female NFL fans these days. Which was funny. I thought Travis, right? They would all want Taylor's boyfriend's jersey. It's funny that
man alive.
It's the crazy brother, right?
Yeah.
But the wife jumped right in. She goes,
Yeah.
I'm 6 foot, and y'all better not like have no intentions for my man, or I will throw down on you. I'm like, this has got to be a Philly girl.
You just gotta love it. Like, I wish I was her. Like, she matched with him on Tinder and then fell in love with like one of the greatest Eagles of all time.
What?
It's like, man,
Is that their
I'd
story?
flip-flop my whole life around for that to happen to me.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. They met on Tinder.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, our main event is just about to tip off. We're only going to broadcast till 10 tonight. The show is from 7 to 10. So we'll probably wind up staying on till halftime. But let's pull up the players that are playing in this game and do our own little fantasy draft as a preview here. So,
Greg, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but I'm working the night shift tonight, so I'll catch y'all later.
Yeah, great seeing you again.
Yeah, have a good night, David.
Good night, David.
Moses,
right.
you got your hand up if you want to add anything to that chat, and you also get first pick then. Who you taking from this list here?
Well, remember what I texted you about earlier? I do have a prior engagement I got to leave out on you guys. It was good being with you guys tonight, Andrew, pleasure meeting you. Heather, pleasure meeting
Likewise.
you. Good talk, Rain. Good talk.
Yeah, great seeing you again, Moses. All good, all good. We're getting into prime time here for the Rising Stars game. We'll start with the rookies. All right, Cameron, you got first pick here.
All right, so I don't think this is a no brainer on who I'm gonna pick. Give me the alien, Victor Wembanyama.
All right, Wembanyama, first pick going to you. Let's give Heather second pick here. Who do you like from the rookies here? Does Houston have anybody in this game?
Yeah, they have Jabari Smith. He's a
The
sophomore.
sophomore, yeah.
Okay, we'll pick the sophomores next. Anybody on this list, Heather, interest you?
I'd say Jordan Hawkins.
Jordan Hawkins?
Jordan Hawkins has been playing really good for the Pelicans right now, too. He's
Yeah,
a
he
big
has.
reason why the Pelicans are ranked 5th in
Mhm.
the Western standings.
Nice, great pick there. He's not one of the more well-known names in on this list. Great pick. All right, Andrew, who you got?
Well, if I'm going to compete, I got to take Chet Holmgren. If we're going to be able to deal with Wembanyama, we got to be able to have length. I think Chet can bring that and match up well against Cameron.
Yeah, I think if we're if we're looking at real NBA, I just think Chet's going to have a hard time. I mean, he'll have a good time scoring in this game, though. I think this game's made for Chet's game, so I think that's a good pick.
Chet's problem is when they're asking him to play defense, when he's asked to guard a premier big on the other side. I think offensively, he'll always be able to get his, but defensively is where his struggle will always be just with his frame. Same with Wembanyama.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. All right. And yeah, we'll have each of us will make the case for why our player should be the player of the game at halftime here as that'll be our final segment. Rain, I saw was just joining us. If you want to make a pick here, we got I don't know if you heard who's gone, but Wembanyama's gone, Holmgren's gone.
I'll
And,
take Jaime Jaquez out of UCLA.
yeah, nice pick.
Yeah.
Funny, I just saw some highlights of him dunking this week because but coming up to the dunk contest, I'm like, since when do centers go in the dunk contest? But of course, then they're showing highlights of him dunking. All right, so let me see what is left here for me to pick through. Brandon Miller, I love that guy in college. I haven't really watched what he's doing in the NBA. Derek Lively, I don't even know how he's here. He's like just a shot blocker, right? What else? Scoot Henderson. I was really expecting him to be dominant this year, or as far as this rookie class goes. So I guess I'll go.
I saw a lot of draft analysis say if Victor Wembanyama wasn't in that draft, Scoot Henderson would have been one of the top picks.
Yeah, that's why they let Dame go. They were going to rebuild around Scoot. So I'll take Scoot Henderson from this list. All right, so now we'll each pick one from the sophomore list. I think that's coming on next. All right, we'll go in reverse order here. So Rain gets first pick, and
You get first pick.
I'll still go last.
Well, with the first pick with the sophomores, I'll probably have to go Apollo Banchero. He's ultra consistent. He's going to be a stud for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I thought if you made the real All-Star game, you were not eligible to play in the Rising Stars. I'm kind of surprised he's here. If he doesn't play, you get a 0, but he should be playing. Why else would they have him on the list, right? That wouldn't be fair. All right, so going back this way, let's see, who went third? Was it Andrew?
Yeah. I'll take another Thunder player. I'll take Jalen Williams. They play together, Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams. Another one where we can bring some length. And I don't know, unless Cameron's going to take Walker Kessler. I'm not really worried about the size that anybody else is bringing.
Yeah, Jalen Williams. We watched OKC play this week, and and he looked good. He has a brother, right, who's in college. Am I thinking of the right guy?
I think you're correct. I can't remember where he's playing. I saw that recently though.
Yeah. All right, cool. Heather, you got next pick here.
I'd say Dyson Daniels.
Dyson Daniels over Jabari. Is Jabari not really lighting it up for the Rockets, your home team there?
I don't know. I don't think so, personally, from what I've seen. But
All right, so you got two Pelicans, I think, right? Dyson Daniels. And in fantasy football, we call that stacking, where you try to get the quarterback receiver from the same lineup there. All right, Cameron, who do you got from this list?
Well, I'm surprised that Jabari Smith is still there. I'll take him. I've been really impressed by his play. He's a high level defender, and he can stretch the floor and hit threes. So I think Houston got a really good pick right there in Jabari Smith Jr. And I'm excited to pair him up with Victor Wembanyama.
All right. And I'll take Jaden Ivey in this game, mostly based on what he did in college. I haven't seen him play too much for Detroit.
I'm a big fan of Benedict Matherin's game, though. He's been impressing me this season. I think he's averaging close to 20 on the Pacers.
Wow.
So
he took him, huh?
Yeah, out of Arizona. And he should be helping team. It'd be cool to see Canada make a run in the Olympics. They have athletes on that roster with Murray and Wiggins, RJ Barrett,
Dylan Brooks.
Yeah,
Dylan
we'll have
Brooks.
to start looking into Olympics previews and see what to expect with that. I know you were saying that all the big guns from the NBA are supposed to play. I'd love to see who's the official roster. Let's see. Do we have to pick any more? There's more. There's 4 teams this year, right?
Would have a big year because of him.
Correct, but it's just the freshmen and sophomores. So the 4 teams are made up of that group. I don't understand how that makes 4 teams, but
yeah, I saw the draft. I saw Pau Gasol, Jalen Rose, and Malika. They drafted their teams. I'm not sure where this 4th team is coming from. I don't know if it's a G League squad or what.
Yeah, if you look at this thing behind me, remember I said the white team there. I don't know anybody in that. And you guys said that's a G League team.
Yep.
So where's the G League team playing?
I think they're playing Team Pau after this game, because on my screen I see Team Jalen and Team Tamika is about to play.
And that's the rookie,
semifinals.
The sophomores or no?
It's a mixture. It's a mixture of rookies and sophomores. So they put a draft board together for Pau Gasol, Malika, or Tamika, and Jalen Rose to draft. They did just like us. They did a snake draft order.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Let's see if we can pull that up. I wonder if there'll be a game cast.
Is that on TNT?
What channel is the All-Star?
Yeah, the game's on TNT.
Or is this TNT or ESPN?
The celebrity game was on ESPN, and then this Rising Star game is going to be on TNT.
Oh, yeah. I wonder why boxing was coming on my TV.
Same.
I got to switch over to TNT here.
And I was
this
paying
will be a
attention
good one.
to
You got Chet versus Paulo.
Oh, we might have to repick, though, if we have players that aren't playing in this, because we're only going to be on till
well, they'll both play. It'll just take It'll just take a minute.
Keegan Murray was there.
Yeah, I like Murray.
I like Murray too. He was a great pick for the Sacramento Kings. And that's my take. Honestly, I'm sure Rain, you might have something to say about this. How about out of all the Western teams right now in the playoffs, only one team isn't representing any All-Stars, and that's the Kings. I think De'Aaron Fox is averaging 27 a game, and Domantas Sabonis, he's an All-Star type player. They both I think those are the 2 biggest snubs of the All-Star game this year.
Yeah, they probably got snubbed this year, but they they were All-Stars last year, and they probably just giving somebody somebody else a chance. But De'Aaron Fox, I feel like De'Aaron Fox should be an All-Star for the next 12 consecutive years. He's probably one of the best point guards in the NBA right now. Sabonis, he's almost a walking triple-double. but there's some other guys that might have beat him out. But De'Aaron Fox, I think, was a double snub.
I mean,
I agree.
Sabonis leads the league in triple doubles, leads the league in rebounds. I don't get how he's not on there either. I guess just because Sacramento is underachieving this year, right?
I mean, I guess you'll call it an underachieve with what they did last year, but in the West, it's going to be like that. It's going to be a different person every year. Everybody got so many young stars, and every year somebody is hot. But it's like I always say, it's what you do in the playoffs.
But we're looking at the fan voting here. I always find this interesting. This isn't the actual NBA teams, but like what about Sengun? How's he in over Sabonis from Houston?
That's fair.
Right? He's on the real NBA. Let's see, front court, guards.
The eighth most votes for De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, but I mean, the votes should just be the starters.
Well, it's tough for De'Aaron Fox when, Anthony Edwards is playing like he is this year. Just
but
like
look at
Fox was
John
last year.
Morant's got more votes than De'Aaron Fox, and John Morant has he played it all this season?
Yeah.
Well, that's the fans' votes. They're going to, most popular, the fans are going to make their votes.
Yeah,
But
same thing with
think,
Clay. Clay doesn't deserve to be in the All-Star game.
Or Kyrie.
No, they're not in the All-Star game. That's just their votes. That's just the votes. Clay didn't make the All-Star.
No, he didn't.
Like I said, Shea Gilchrist, Alexander, Anthony Edwards, they deserve the All-Star game this year.
I agree with that, Rain. They're both leading their teams at the numbers respective spots, 1 and 2 in the conference. The West is super stacked. So I'm not really a big believer in the Timberwolves or Thunder to win the finals. I think they can contend, but I think experience will ultimately bite them in the butt. But still, I'm not taking away the accomplishments of standing number 1 and 2 in a hard stacked Western Conference.
I agree with you, but if you look at those teams that are 3, 4, and 5, it feels like those are the teams that are going to come out of the Western Conference.
Yeah.
The Clippers are playing really well. Yeah.
Since the new year, the Clippers and the Suns both have the best record in the NBA.
And if either of those teams are healthy, are we going to pick the Timberwolves or the Thunder over those guys? I'd say that this is like a year before the year for both the Timberwolves and the Thunder.
Well, those teams are in the same position that the Sacramento Kings were in last year.
Exactly.
Great regular season, but do you have what it takes to win in the playoffs? When it's each possession of the game and you got to get some defensive stops, are you going to get some high percentage shots? We've seen last year that the Timberwolves folded against the Lakers. I think they were way more talented than Lakers, and the Kings couldn't get over the hump against the Warriors. And the Warriors are age team, but they couldn't get it done because at the end of the game, everything is a perimeter shot. You got to get some high percentage shots, and all they did was just squeeze down on De'Aaron Fox, make him shoot jump shots and take away the drive, and now Sacramento is stagnant.
This is tough. I mean, it's like, who do you cut? The only guy I could maybe cut from this, like Scotty Barnes, I haven't really looked at him too much.
Wouldn't get De'Aaron Fox in because that's the Eastern Conference. On the Western Conference, there's really not anyone. Steph would be the one, and we're not going to cut Steph. Like, Steph's got to be an all-star. Steph's still Steph, and he's still having a better year than De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, they had Adam Silver on Pat McAfee the day before this, and he was talking about how how they get the players to participate so much in the All-Star game here compared to football. And he said it's like deeply tied to salary. And so it's really not, I mean, yeah, those Sacramento guys, maybe they just got to expand the roster to 15 players, right?
Yeah, possibly. Like I said, last year was their year. They was number 2 at the All-Star break. everybody was raving about what they were doing, and De'Aaron and Sabonis got in. This year is the opposite. Minnesota is up at the top, so Anthony Edwards is going to get in. Over those guys, and they're going to bring back the old dog and Steph Curry, and Devin Booker is playing lights out. So it's tough. It's tough. You have a couple guys that's going to be in there: LeBron, Steph Curry, Giannis, Jason Tatum. I don't think they're going nowhere for no time soon until he retires, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think they got to expand the roster on this all-star team or something. I don't see how you can cut anybody. I guess usually somebody's hurt. I said,
Yeah, I think on the East, and someone's got to replace Embiid. It looked like it was either going to be Julius Randle or Trae Young.
yeah, they put both of those guys in there, Trae Young and Randall. I guess because nobody's hurt on the West. That normally that's a way they sneak another player in there.
Yeah, surprisingly, Kawhi and Paul George are healthy.
Yeah,
I think that's my big question on the Clippers this year, is if those two can stay healthy.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Yeah, Giannis didn't play the All-Star game last year. He was like resting.
Yeah, Giannis might get MVP because he knows no one guards the bucket. He'll go 18 for 18 dunking the ball.
Giannis, I mean, Kawhi and Paul George are not going to play serious minutes. They're going to play like 10, 15 minutes max, barely break a sweat. And like you said, it's Giannis's MVP to lose.
Well, I think they try to get the home team, right? You don't think they'll try to
That's
get
true. Tyrese Halliburton.
The league's really trying to hype him up as like an MVP candidate. I
think that's a little far-fetched, but yeah, I agree with you that that's what they're trying to do, and especially with the All-Star game being in Indiana, yeah, it's big for them, but I don't think he's there yet. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the playoffs. The East is, again, up for grabs. It's the Celtics to lose, but see what they can do. I really like the concept that they have in this Rising Stars game that's untimed and just playing to 40.
Yeah.
It's a blowout thus far.
Let's see if there's a live game cast for it anywhere. This one says it has it.
Ooh.
Put this up on the screen and follow.
Maybe we should just pick the MVP for this rookie sophomore game.
Let's see, is this updating? Yeah, well, I mean, each of our players that we picked could be the MVP. I was going to have us make the case as to why they should be the MVP.
I think Banchero will lead Team Tamika to victory right here.
I hate seeing free throws though in any type of all-star game. Like, what are we doing?
I like Jalen's team though, because he's got Lively and Holmgren on the floor together. I mean, that's I'm tell you what, the bucket feels a lot taller than 10 feet with those two guarding the rim.
Well, it's definitely going to be a layup line drill. So, a bunch of layups and wide open threes, just like the regular All-Star game. But Banchero seems like, with his overall skill set, he could be very dangerous.
Yeah, I don't think he should have been eligible. If he's in the real All-Star game, he's past the Rising Star already.
I was just gonna say, I actually have to get up tomorrow for some projects I'm working on, so I'm gonna go right now, but it was great meeting you guys, and I really enjoyed hearing all of your arguing back and forth.
Hey, it's fun sports talk. It's not arguing.
No, definitely not.
But we appreciate your insights as well, Heather. It's always nice to have a female perspective, and you seem to fit right in with the guys.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot.
All right. Have a good rest of your night.
You too. Bye.
Let's see if we can you guys hear that?
A little bit. You guys have any predictions on the dunk contest or the 3-point contest this weekend?
I think Mac McClung or think the one guy that can challenge Mac is probably Jalen Brown. Dude's a super athletic freak. I like watching him play for Cal and the Golden Bears. But I think Mac will run it back.
Last year I was like a big Mac McClung supporter because he was like repping the Sixers, but I gotta be honest, I hate this rule of G League guys now competing in the dunk contest. This all goes back to, and I'm sure Greg will appreciate this, LeBron ruined the dunk contest. He should have done the dunk contest. He said he was going to do the dunk contest. He never did it, and now we're stuck with, and no offense to Mac, he's a great dunker, but we're watching Mac McClung in dunk contest. That dude has no business being in the NBA.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping Jalen Brown's going to reverse that trend. I think the fix will be in for him to win the dunk contest because the league wants it to go that way. And,
I wanted to see Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon every year. That would have been cool.
Every year.
If they start incentivizing the players, like the midseason tournament, put a bonus on the All-Star game, make the game better, make the guys get out there and compete in the three-ball contest, the dunk contest like it was in the 80s and 90s. I think they're going to start, spending some money shortly.
You know what event I want to see added to the All-Star weekend? A one-on-one tournament with all the All-Stars.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, that'd definitely be fun.
Wembanyama would be a problem there.
They could pick one fan from each of the teams to be in it too, right?
2-on-2 with a fan.
Fan participation.
And then anybody have any favorites in the 3-point contest?
Clay.
He's not in it.
Clay is going to get so hot.
He's not in it. We got Malik
but
Beasley.
He shoot against a young lady or something like
Steph is going against Sabrina Ionescu of the New York Liberty. Yeah, I think that happens before the 3-point contest. But I don't know. She's a pretty good shooter. If she gets to shoot from the women's line and they make him back up and shoot from like the 4-point line, maybe she got a shot.
I mean, Lillard's in the competition. But he didn't shoot great against Memphis the other night. So hopefully he comes in with a better shot.
It's Malik Beasley, Brunson, Halliburton, Lillard, Lauri Markkanen, Donovan Mitchell, Cat, and Trae Young. Trae Young is tough to pick against.
Yeah, none of those guys are true 3-point shooters. Like, when you used to have Larry Bird, Ray Allen, Dale Ellis, all like 3-point sharpshooters. Now it's just somebody's going to get hot. If you have to look at the truest shooter, it might be Trae Young. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, no one's a true 3-point shooter, so it's wide open.
Yeah, I feel like Halliburton with the home crowd. If I had to pick one to root for, I'll root for Cat. It'd be fun to see the big guy.
A big guy in an event like that usually goes to his favor because he barely needs any lift in his shot. So he won't get as tired as like Donovan Mitchell. I'm sure he has a huge lift in his shot when I'm watching. It seems like he's getting like a full foot off the floor on his jump shot.
But that's the way Ray Allen was. Ray Allen always elevated on those jump shots, and I feel like he had some success in the 3-point contest throughout his years. I'll take Halliburton, like you said, Greg, hometown guy. I feel like they're going to try and get him to win something. I don't know how you could really fix the 3-point contest for him as easy as you could fix the dunk contest for somebody, but hopefully for his sake and the city's sake, he can get hot.
And he definitely has a shot because he shoots more of a set shot, so he won't be fatigued like some of the other guys with the jump shot shooters.
Let's hop over to our chat and just see if we're getting any insights from our YouTube chat here. Let's see. Halliburton, the best pure shooter in the league. Paolo is a beast. Yeah, it was Paolo versus Chet in that game we watched earlier this week. It was fun seeing those two go at it together. Yeah, it's too bad they don't have a live broadcast of this.
And it's going forever. It's 17-16. They're going to be at it for a long time in just this first game.
So is the main All-Star game, is that still timed?
It'll
I
be
don't
the
know.
same rules, I believe. They'll play to a set score every quarter, and then have like a final. How they've been doing it since Kobe Bryant passed.
Oh, okay. Is that what they do now? Ooh, behind the back. Nothing like cherry picking.
I feel like every year I always tune into the NBA All-Star event, and compared to the NFL, I feel like I really don't tune in with the NFL anymore. It's just not as exciting as the NBA. It seems like there's a little more competitive, and I think same thing a little bit with baseball, right? You can watch the baseball All-Star game. They're playing for a home playoff spot in the World Series.
Not anymore, but yeah, that was. It made it more intriguing. Yeah, the Pro Bowl is unwatchable. They got to do
They
something
don't even
completely
tackle
different.
football anymore.
Yeah,
You know?
football needs to come up with a solution. I mean, I don't know, because the Pro Bowl just went from being something to completely nothing now. It's like a bunch of guys most of those guys out there hammered, just congregating as, the boys club. Other than that, they're not doing anything.
Gardner Minshew was a quarterback for the Pro Bowl. Like, come on. All love to Gardner Minshew, but he's
Yeah,
he barely a
Lamar's
starting
backup,
quarterback. Yeah,
Lamar's
exactly. He's
backup
barely a
was
starting quarterback.
a Pro Bowl quarterback. That's
Exactly.
crazy.
Exactly.
The rest of the
Yeah, they
guys
might as
don't
well
even
just
show
get
up.
rid of
You know?
get rid of the game altogether. Like with all the injury
And
risk
this
they
year,
have.
Yeah, this year I think they ruined it by taking it away from Vegas. At least the guys wanted to come to Vegas, right? Who doesn't want to come to Vegas for a weekend and enjoy themselves? If they'd have kept it in Vegas, it would have got a couple more guys to show up just to be here. But I don't know what they're going to do with that. That's
Where was it this year? I didn't even
I think
follow.
Orlando. Yeah.
Oh, it's always in Orlando. It's always in Orlando then.
But it was Vegas last year. Rain was right. It was in Vegas last year, and it seemed like there was a little bit more buzz. You couldn't do Vegas again, I'm assuming, with the Super Bowl being there. Maybe they could have. I don't really know.
Make it a 2-week event, and just have parties forever, right?
Everybody's out there.
You won't get in trouble in Vegas.
I like some of the other stuff that they do around it with the dodgeball and like the quarterback skills competition. But again, when you got Gardner Minshew, like Dan Orlovsky had a better quarterback throwing score than any of the guys that competed. Like that just can't happen.
Yeah, and back in like the 2000s, I really enjoyed the when Brett Favre and they'd see how far they can throw the ball. They
Josh
took that
Allen and
competition
Mahomes
out.
doing that. Come on, I would love that.
What do you guys think about Vegas getting the permanent Super Bowl?
Hey, I'm here in Vegas. The town was buzzing like no other. They generated $1 billion. Who does it better than Vegas for most events, right? Vegas just showed they can have the F1, they can do the New Year's, they can have a Super Bowl within 60 days, and what place?
That guy just missed everything.
Party's better than Vegas.
When we have it in Tampa, we literally have to bring in cruise ships because we don't have enough hotel rooms and stuff. Like.
Did you guys just see that dude try to dunk it and just missed the whole rim?
Yeah, I kind of figured that after they seen how much money that they generated here in Vegas for the Super Bowl, they were going to be trying to get this thing back here within 4 years.
Like doing it in Vegas, but I don't think it should be only in Vegas. I do think, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, it was in Minneapolis. You could throw that one out the window. We don't have to go back to Minneapolis. It was 0 degrees the entire week. No one wants to do that.
There's no need to be giving every team a turn at the Super Bowl. Let's just do it right and do it in
Just
Vegas.
go with the marquee towns, the places that can hold
New Orleans is hosting the next Super Bowl.
New Orleans is a great place to host the Super Bowl. You can host it. Yeah, Jerry's World. It kills me to say that, but Tampa, Miami, LA, and then that's about I don't know. Indy's a great host city. They host the Final Fours, but I don't think people are really, oh man, let's go to Indianapolis this February. Vegas,
it's all about weather, right? And most of the cities that you chose are The weather is
Yeah,
decent.
Arizona.
The Vegas, the LAs, the Atlantas, the Miamis, possibly Texas. The weather is not what people not out there freezing, like in
Well,
Minnesota or
Vegas is
Detroit.
cold. Vegas is cold at night in January.
Well, yeah, Vegas was actually wet this year. It rained a bunch, but most people are going to be inside partying anyway in casinos and in the club. So, it didn't really hurt anything. They had a couple they had a celebrity golf game on Friday, which the weather, helped out. It didn't rain. So, but you gotta look at the warm weather cities for Super Bowl. I hate when they go to Minneapolis and Detroit and
I like it. They talking
I
some
think
trash. I like to
any
see it.
excuse to go to Vegas. Here's what I would do is I would not have Vegas with the team, get rid of the Raiders, but every team plays one game a year in Vegas. And
Well,
everyone goes like, that's our trip once a year to Vegas.
Hey, well, they say that, I know for a fact that there's not a game here that the Raiders, well, I'll take that back. There's one team where the Raiders is the home team in their stadium. That's when they play the Los Angeles Chargers. That's the only team they're actually the dominant fan base in the stadium. Every other team, doesn't matter if it's the Cardinals, if it's the Texans, wherever they're from, there are more fans there than the Raider fans.
So, Rain, I just got to ask, how long have you lived in Vegas?
I've been here for about 6-7 years now. I was here before the Raiders. I'm a Raider fan. I'm from Inglewood, California. I live right down the street from SoFi in the new Clipper Stadium. I can throw a rock at it, and just like Greg said, I would love to see the Raiders not here, and then let each team come in every year and play a home game here because shit, it's their stadium anyway.
Only counterpoint I would say, and you lived there for 6 years, so clearly you're living it. I've been to Vegas a couple times. Every time I'm there, after like 3 or 4 days, I'm like, "Oh man, I think it's time for me to go. I think I've been in Vegas long enough."
Yeah, when you're visiting and you're here to really go hard,
It's different.
2 days is enough.
Yeah, and that's what I heard from.
Good.
That's what I heard from everybody I know that was at the Super Bowl. They were like, yeah, it was fun. Vegas is great. But, man, I got there on Sunday, and I stayed until the following Monday, and I was ready to go the heck home.
I mean, that's a place where for breakfast you have a cocktail. For lunch you have a cocktail. For dinner you have a cocktail. And before you know it, you're all cocktailed out, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know what time it is. You don't know what it is. It's just cocktails.
Good times in Vegas.
I was impressed with Micah Parsons in that celebrity game, though. He ended up being the MVP with 37 points and 14 rebounds.
Oh yeah, do your history on Michael Parsons, all-state basketball player. I'm a football guy. I don't want to be biased, but football players are probably the best athletes in the world. Most football players are 3-sport players. Most of us, we were raised playing baseball, football, and basketball. Football players, you could think back, Greg probably can attest to this, late in the 80s, when they used to have the dunk contest with Deion Sanders and Michael Irvin. These guys used to put on a show. Football players, great athletes.
Bo Jackson
climb a wall.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching DK Metcalf in the celebrity game last year. He just looked like just a complete beast compared to everyone else, and the way he's able to fly up the court and jam it.
Yeah, the next day after that All-Star game, he had a drug test. They tested him.
What's crazy is his so-claimed diet. He says all he eats is candy. What candy
I'm not buying
is
that.
he eating? I want to eat that candy.
Yeah, because I eat a lot of candy too.
It ain't just Skittles. I bet you that. Yeah. Well, Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, he lived by McDonald's for 10, 12 years. Man, some of these guys, some of the best athletes got the worst diets. Because
Kyle Lowry was one. Or how about that dude for the Packers, Eddie Lacy?
Right.
Ooh. Ate himself out of the league. Kelvin Benjamin's another one.
I mean, if you have a
Yep.
weight problem, you can't just do that. But guys like Chad Johnson and Metcalf, they don't have a weight problem. They probably can eat whatever they see, you know?
Zion wishes.
Man, it's a dream for Zion.
He should have been in the All-Star game, by the way.
I think so. He could have made it. I mean, even Brandon Ingram. I mean, New Orleans is a solid team. If they can stay healthy, they, you know,
Yep.
Zion
They
can
figured
easily
it out,
take over
too.
a game. Yeah.
They figured it out. They realized let Zion bring the ball up the floor. And that's completely what's changed their season. And if he can stay healthy, that's the main thing. You hit it right on the head, Rain.
You know, you get a big 4 against Zion or 5, and he's going right by him like they're standing still. You know, he's attacking the rim. He's breaking them down. You know, he's a tough matchup. And then you try to put somebody small on him, you just take him to the block. You know, Zion can definitely be somebody that, you know, New Orleans can ride in the playoffs and possibly make a run at something. I don't know.
Yeah, one of my favorite highlights is Zion ripping the ball away from Giannis and like dunking it right in his face. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but like you think of Giannis as like the giant of the league, and Zion just overpowers him.
I think that might have been Zion's first game or first game back, or it was early. It was early. I remember that. He just snatched it from him and just threw it down.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Zion.
Are you a Duke fan too, Greg, or just a Tatum fan wearing the jersey?
You know, I'm from Boston, right? And so Boston has 200 colleges in a 50-mile square radius,
Yeah.
but none of them are particularly good at sports.
Yeah.
But I
At
have,
basketball, they're good at some sports.
yeah, at some college sport. Yeah, that's true. Hockey and stuff. I'm a basketball, football guy. But I have rooted for a lot of Duke teams over the years. I'm not particularly a diehard Duke fan. My parents actually live in the Triangle, so it's been like a thing. My dad's getting older in his 80s now. I've been we went to a Duke UNC game. We went to some different games. We went to the ACC tournament the year Zion was in it, and saw all those games.
Huh, Raina?
Oh.
Spooger, huh? Can you put this on charger for me, Raina?
Yeah,
It's
so
crazy how small Cameron Indoor is. Crazy.
it really is small, and those fans are just ruthless. The one game we saw them play State, and they killed them, and they just like taunted those kids relentlessly, insulting them. Like, man, they're so cocky. But it's
Not
fun.
gonna call game.
Oh wow, that happens fast. You hit 40 like that.
You guys are ahead of me. Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, who hit that? Oh, Matherin.
Matherin, you
He
called
must
it.
have felt bad for airballing a dunk, so I had to turn into a ball hog.
Undrafted in our draft.
I think Team Powell is gonna end up winning this little mini tournament. I like any team that has Victor Wembanyama on it.
And they're playing a G League team. That's what we've concluded, correct?
I believe so. Who
It's a
is
shame we don't get
Detlef?
to see. It's a shame we don't get Mac McClung there, you know?
Yeah, he should be in there. I guess because they signed him, right? And didn't he get a 10-day contract so he could be in the dunk contest?
I think so. And there's I don't know if anyone's paid attention to that 10-day story. Tony Snell, longtime NBA player,
yeah.
Tony Snell. You know, he's famous
Chicago
for
Bulls,
the
Milwaukee.
0 stat line. He just needs a 10-day contract for his 10th year in the league, and he'd get health insurance for life. And for whatever reason, that still hasn't happened. And it just seems like that should happen, especially if you're unfamiliar with Tony Snell. He's got autism. A couple of his kids have autism. So it'd be really huge for him and his family to get a 10-day freaking contract that literally, like, half these 10-day contract guys don't even step on the court. So it's like, man, why can't Tony Snell get that so then he can have the 10 years and get health insurance?
No, that'd be awesome too. And Tony Snell, I mean, shit, he can actually give somebody some minutes. I mean, he's not a bum.
Yeah, he's good defensively. He's a good swing defender. Can guard a couple different positions. Offensively, like I said, he's been mocked for his entire career for that 24 minutes, 0 points, 0 shots, 0 rebounds. But sometimes, those numbers don't tell the whole story.
I've been
Yeah, seems
enjoying
like that'd be
Shaq and the Fool.
a
Oh,
good
go ahead.
PR move, by somebody to sign him. Like
Just a team that's not doing great. Like, who does that hurt?
I've been enjoying the Shaq and the Fool clips this year. Seems like Antetokounmpo's younger brother has just been dominating. He's like the new JaVale McGee or Kendrick Perkins.
And that was part of the rumor as to why Griffin got fired, was because he just wasn't, putting up with the act of keeping the brother on the team. And there were rumors that he was giving him a hard time in film sessions and really being hard on him. And Giannis didn't like that. And, Thanasis has no reason to be in the NBA. Like you said, he is Shaqtin'. Like his whole game is Shaqtin' a fool.
100%.
Yeah, I didn't know he was getting minutes. There's no reason for him to be playing.
It's always garbage time, but then you always see them like he demands the basketball and then makes some egregious play that ends up on Shaq.
They don't even guard him, and he still misses.
If he just would be another 12th man on the bench and when he gets in, shoot an open three and then play defense, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But he's commanding the ball and then making ridiculous airball layups.
I thought it was ridiculous that the Bucks, they fired Budenholzer, coach of the year. I mean, just one bad series against the Heat. Yeah, he didn't make any adjustments, but still, that was just one series, and they let him go. He's coach of the year and got him a championship.
People give LeBron a hard time for being a coach killer. Well, Giannis has got 2 coaches fired in 8 months.
Well, they had a problem. They had the Terry Stoltz, right? The Portland coach on the Milwaukee team this year too. Am I saying the guy's right name? I know for sure they brought in the Lillard's longtime coach was on the Milwaukee staff this year.
Yeah.
And he quit in the first I think during the preseason or something. And so it's another coach that got run out of town. All right, let's see what we got here. Mutombo. Who was that? Patrick Mutombo? Well, I guess these must be the G League guys. I don't know any of these guys.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, the Cavaliers. That's crazy that they're sending Amoni Bates down to the G League because just if you guys follow basketball recruits, he was the number 1 8th grader, number 1 freshman. At one point, he was the number 1 prospect. They compared him to Kevin Durant, but then he just went to Memphis and his game didn't shine that good. But he's playing really good in the G League right now. I think averaging 27. But if you're doing that's still crazy. You can average 27 in the G League once being number 1 prospect, but that's still not good enough to get called up. And get
Penny Hardaway has killed many a player at Memphis.
Well, I mean that kid, his game never evolved. He was just the biggest, fastest guy when he was in 8th grade, 9th grade. Everybody started growing up and being his size and bigger and faster than him, and he just never got his game evolved. He thought he was just going to be bigger, faster than everybody, and that don't last. And as you can see now, he's in the G League.
Who was that big guy that the Warriors drafted from Memphis?
Wiseman.
Yeah, Wiseman. He just got injured too much. He has a great body. They compared him to Joel Embiid, but also he besides being injured, his IQ, he had no basketball IQ. He didn't know when to cut, when to get the ball. But it just sucks. Like a player, he has such a gifted body, man. His ceiling is so high.
Yeah.
But once you get that huge paycheck for being a number 2 or number 3 overall paycheck, you start to lose that morale a little bit.
Didn't they interview him though? How do they know? They should have known that he didn't have it upstairs.
He was getting paid in high school. That's why he didn't play but maybe 1 or 2 games in college. So
yeah,
he's always been getting a check. I think if he can stay healthy, he can probably give you somebody a solid 12 and 8 and a couple blocks. But the Warriors, they thought he was going to be the next, save them. So didn't work that way.
Yeah, I feel like if they'd have traded that pick for like a good player, that they could have been another ring over there. I don't know why they were trying to go young when you had a championship team.
The problem with a guy like Amani Bates is you can average 27 points, but when you're taking 30 shots a game, you're not going to have those shot opportunities when you get to the league. You have to find ways where you contribute without getting up that many shots in a game. And you see that all the time in the G League. Kenny Lofton was a guy that had a ton of success with the Grizzlies last year in limited minutes when he was able to get a ton of touches. Now they cut him. He was on the Sixers 10-day, back to the G League. If you can't get high volume touches like that in the league, it's going to be G League for life.
I mean,
I'm
at least
surprised that
at
the
least the G
Thompson
League
twins.
pays pretty good now. So those guys don't
Yeah.
mind being lifers in the G League. Like in the majors, a minor league lifer is wealthy.
Yeah.
These guys get to play the G League team? That doesn't even seem fair.
No.
Team Powell has a stacked team.
Yeah, that's definitely the best team. Jaime Jaquez is probably one of the most well-rounded games, and then to add that to Wembanyama, it's like, oh my God, this is not fair. Call off the fight, and we haven't even started.
Cason Wallace has been real good for the Thunder this year. I'm impressed with the Thunder. They're light years ahead of where they should be right now. If you're a Thunder fan, I'm excited about the future over there in OKC. They have so many draft picks still left to where do you improve on that team? What do they do with all those picks?
Exactly. And they have 3 guys in this game. You'd like to think maybe they would package something up and really make a big time splash. I don't know what that could look like. I don't think Klay Thompson's necessarily a fit for them. I think that they could go even bigger than that and really go after one of these mega superstars.
I don't think
I want to see Wemby take all the shots.
I don't think Klay has a lot of value anymore because of the wear and tear, the injuries. But there's a team out there he can fit with if he could just spot up and shoot. You don't have to worry about being the best defender or whatnot. Just go and just be a gunner. But the Warriors got too many young guns behind him, and they're pushing him for time,
It would be a good fit with one of these teams that has a generational big, maybe a Jokic in Denver, maybe an Embiid in Philly, maybe somebody that can help Wembanyama and create space for him and space the floor in that sense. Like you're saying, just kind of spot up in the corner and make more room on the floor for those big guys.
Yeah, I don't think the Warriors are going to get a lot from him, and he's not going to get a big, large contract anymore. He already had his big extension, but he can help somebody. I think he can definitely help a playoff team. If the Lakers had a guy that can spread the court with LeBron still penetrating and AD, he can definitely help there. But with the Warriors,
that's what the Lakers need.
Yeah,
I think the Lakers would be a great team if they can defend and if they can shoot the 3 ball. And when actually over the last 7 games, they've been one of the hottest teams in shooting the ball right now. I think they're 6-1. So when they shoot the ball well, they win.
Yeah, Ham just had to figure out his lineup. We already know there's 2 people that cemented in. You got LeBron and AD. Everybody else is going to feed off them. So you got to find that other 3 that can play with those 2 guys. And with a guy like LeBron, you need somebody that can stretch the floor. That's why they brought in Reddish that thought he might, be a guy, play some defense, shoot the 3. He struggled in the 3 ball. Even Prince has been struggling with the 3 ball, but he plays solid defense. I don't count the Lakers out. I'm a Laker fan, first of all, but I don't count them out. You can't count out LeBron James and Anthony Davis team. So we'll see. It's a long season. I think the Lakers will wind up probably in the 7th spot, probably against hopefully a Minnesota again. They definitely don't want to play Denver.
Well, they have to play the playing game if they're at 7, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I think the Warriors, after this All-Star break, they're already on a winning roll, 8-2 in their last 10. They blew it against the Clippers. They should be 9-1. But they have the easiest remaining schedule after the All-Star break. They're already starting to figure things out. And I think their record resembles a lot of close games they were in. And like there's a lot of winnable games. And they have good victories on their they've beat the Nuggets this year. Nuggets have beat them on a game like Jokic chucking it up at half court to win the game. We got a good win on the Celtics.
But
So
look
I
at these
expect
standings, though. Who you guys gonna pass?
No.
It's so tough. All these teams are so good. Like, I don't know. I how are who's gonna drop down for the Lakers and Warriors to move up?
The Mavericks were in the same position last year. They were in the playoffs and they ended up going on a skid those last 15 and completely tumbled out of the picture. So, and injuries can happen too. You never know if an injury happens on one of these squads.
Yeah. New Orleans is going to probably, I mean, I hate to be a burden of bad news, but Zion is going to get hurt because he's overweight. he plays like a little guy, you know, such speed, such aggression, but he's overweight. So he's definitely going to tweak something. That's the bad part. That's like Joel Embiid, you know, they're always getting hurt. They're always hurting their legs, their hips, their knees, too much weight, you know. They should take Tim Duncan's recipe. Tim Duncan was a swimmer, right? He trained in the swimming pool. It helps the body repair and restore. Plus, you're in better condition than any athlete. Tim Duncan didn't have a muscle on his body. He didn't look like he lifted weights, but he was strong as a bull because he swam. I think Zion needs to get in the pool so it can help him with his weight.
That's a good idea.
I'm with you though, Greg. I think that for the Lakers and Warriors, the good news for them, both you guys, Cameron and Rain, you're in the play-in tournament. And have we been known to trust the Kings? Not really. How about the Mavericks? Not really. So I think you're both in a position where, yeah, you might be in the play-in game, but I don't think you'd really be scared of either of the teams that you could end up facing.
No, I think the Pelicans and the Kings and the Mavericks, they're the three teams that's right above the Lakers and the Warriors. Those three teams are going to come back to the pack. I don't know. If somebody's going to back up, it's going to be those three teams. I think, like I said, the Pelicans, I don't think Zion's going to make a whole year. The Mavericks, anything can happen with Kyrie. He can feel political today or tomorrow, you know, I want to stand up and he'll be out, you know. It's just, I just think the Lakers are going to play better basketball in the second half of the season. So they're not just going to fall in their laps. The Lakers are going to go get them.
Greg, I'd love to hear your take on Kyrie Irving as a Celtics fan.
Kyrie Irving is a team killer. Literally, Dallas got worse when they traded for him last year. I couldn't believe they brought him back again. He's been awful everywhere he's ever gone.
Yeah, the only place Kyrie can play is with LeBron James, and he talked himself out of that one, right? He didn't want to be a good teammate, didn't want to, you know, but he, you know, him and LeBron is that's the only person he can play with.
He had the reins. Imagine if Kyrie was still on Boston and kept his act together. Like, we gave reins to the team.
Yeah.
And he got hurt both years he was there and talked his way out. Like,
I thought what was crazy was Boston was a worse team with Kyrie in that lineup. You know, they look all discombobulated. You know, Terry Rozier's game went down. You know, the shots were going because that young core went to 7 with LeBron the season before, and Kyrie was out in that one as well. But yeah, I thought Kyrie was ruining some team chemistry because it was you could clearly see it there with that young core in Boston.
Just not a leader of men, you know, just not a real leader. You know, he's probably not a bad person, but he's just not a leader. The guys want to rally behind. And in Boston, he made himself look really, really, really bad when those comments about he's not a leader and blah. I mean, you are a leader. You're a star. You have to lead your team. These guys are looking at you, been in the league for a couple of years, making a championship run. We're looking for you for leadership. We're all 19 and 20. Yeah, you're only 26, but you're older than us.
Yeah, it's too bad. He's so skilled. I mean, so skilled, you know. One of the best ball handlers probably ever.
Ever.
And he's got a shot, you know. He hit the game winner for Cleveland. Like he's got like he's a closer. He just isn't a leader. It shows you how important leadership is. He doesn't make anyone better around him at all.
I don't think he's even still, even to this day, he's showing any leadership skills in Dallas. I mean, it's easier for him to go to Dallas and just give Luka all the, give Luka the reins, because Luka's definitely the leader of that team, and Kyrie is better in a better position, not being the leader, just being himself, right?
Yeah, it's the only place for him. They say he might go to LA, right? Go back with
LeBron.
LeBron. That was last night's topic. Was the rumor is the Lakers are adding an all-star in the offseason. You know, who's it going to be? Kyrie or Clay? I think we heard Trae Young's name getting bounced around.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about the Lakers is they are known for making a big splash in free agency over forever. So when it comes to like them landing a star, I can believe that. Who doesn't want to be in LA? I mean, the taxes is high, but the weather is beautiful.
Well, there's so many opportunities that come with TV land. You know, you start
100%.
getting in with the right people.
All the endorsements, you'd be like LeBron James, owning the movie studio, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely LeBron has a $50 million player option. They're gonna have to try to get him to take less.
Yeah, I would trade LeBron yesterday.
Too late.
Here comes Wemby, bringing it all the way up. Oh, you got
Yeah.
foul. Just gave him the turnover. I tried to go through his legs.
Get that out of here. Oh.
That's why I didn't get the call. The G League is trying to pull the upset here.
There's still so much time till they get to 40. Oh.
Be there at all.
This team should have good chemistry. They got two Thunder on the team, and then Wembanyama has an ex-teammate from the G League from last year, and I'm probably gonna say his name wrong, Kalula Bali.
This game reminds me of like when the teachers used to play the varsity team.
Oh yeah. G League's putting up a good fight right now.
Yeah, it shouldn't last if it's
I mean, all these guys have played against each other for the last 3-4 years anyway. Just some got drafted in the right spots, and some didn't. But most of these guys have played together in college, or played against each other in college and then in the G League. So they probably feel like they're equal.
I don't agree with that. I mean, they might feel that way, but
Yeah,
I think
it's just a feel. But like I
their
said,
talent would rise.
yeah, on a couple of those G leaguers are first round draft picks.
Yeah.
McDonald All-Americans, college All-Americans, one and done or whatever. So they probably feel like they've been just as elite as those other guys.
Talent always rises to the top. You can't teach talent.
Like the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, so you referee out there, Rain? You referee
Yeah. Basketball. I've been an official for about 23, 24 years, on and off, football, basketball. I coach football, so I'm more of a basketball official, but I coach football.
Oh, you coach football, nice. Yeah, I referee
Coach high school football.
Yeah, high school, community college. Now I'm head of a rec league, so I got a lot of kids out there running wild. Everybody got the crossover step back three like Steph. Greg, you're like we're talking about, we're an official. So what happened 20 years ago when that Euro step was a travel? Now it's not, right? I seen
Yeah, they bend the rules. So you have something called a gather step,
the gather
and then
step.
you can take 2 steps. It's weird. What's considered the gather step? That's the crazy one. There's a guy on Instagram. His name is it's like MW. Let me get the account for you guys real quick. But he breaks down all of what looks like a travel, and he gives you a reason why it isn't a travel because
I
of
was
that
going to say
gather step. And then he's got a few clips.
most fans do not know what a travel is and isn't to begin with, right? Like let's
Yeah.
do a quick exercise here. Who wants to be like in the spotlight? But you got to stand where we can see you pivot. Camera. All right, so back up a little where we can see you. Like stand up.
You're not gonna be able to see.
See if we can. If you.
No, my computer would fall. No, I'm not gonna be able to see me.
That's all right. That's all right. No, you can still do it. Just go back, Andrew. Go back where you were. Right. You can come 3 steps closer. Yeah. So right from there. Yeah. So now pivot with your which foot are you pivoting with? Your right foot, right?
Right
Yeah, I'll
foot,
pivot too. Yeah, I can keep that plant foot down. That's my favorite move in
Okay,
some
no,
pickup
wait,
basketball.
now stop. Now, okay, so you've been pivoting with your right foot, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now lift up your left. Listen, lift up your left foot. Is that?
Yeah, I
is that
picked up my plant
Oh, I
foot.
should switch.
Right? Cameron's doing the same thing. You're pivoting with your right foot, and you lift up your left foot.
That's a travel.
It's not
That's
a travel.
It's not a travel.
No, it's not. I'll prove it to you right now. I'll prove it to you.
It's not a travel.
Okay, so go back to where you are.
You didn't take a step. You just changed pivot foots.
It's not a travel till the pivot foot hits the ground. Most fans don't get this. Right. Okay. So there's your 2 pivots with the right foot. Now wait.
So that's the gather step, is what you're saying.
No, but wait. Let me finish it. So do the 2 pivots with the right foot, and now rise up to shoot.
Yeah. So I changed. Yeah, you're right. That's fair.
Or if you jump shot, you jump off both feet. So lifting the pivot foot.
As long as you don't come down. As long as you don't come down.
As long as it doesn't come down, that's when it's a travel. That's just the fundamental part of the Euro step that people don't understand. That it's not a travel till that foot comes back down.
But that account I was talking about, guys, you should check it out. If you guys got Instagram, it's called MDW Basketball. If you can
put that in the YouTube chat for our listeners too.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was watching some highlights from it had to be 80s, 90s, where Rod Strickland was a point guard in NBA, and he was one of the first players to do something similar, which is identical to the Euro step, but he was getting hit for traveling over and over and over. So it definitely adjusted the rules. So
well, now, and here's a big difference in the NBA rule. And I don't know all the NBA rules. I don't referee that. But in high school and college, if you land a jump stop, which foot's your pivot foot? Don't answer, Rain, because I know you know. Well, let's ask them. If you hit a jump stop,
second foot is your pivot foot.
Jump stop, the definition of a jump stop is it have to land at the same time. If it's 1-2, first of all, if you land 1-2, that's a travel.
Okay.
Always in all leagues, 1-2 is a travel. But if you land a jump stop you
can do either foot. If you're left foot or right, you can go either direction. You can as long as you keep one plant foot down.
No, there's no pivot. After a jump stop, you cannot pivot in high school and college ball. It's a travel. You landed
Oh, high school and college, yeah. In the
Yeah, you
NBA
left the
Euros, though,
ground. You can't
you
beat
can
the
have that
ground
extra move.
because you left the ground and
because you left
jumped,
the ground.
landed. You cannot pivot again. Now the NBA, that's one like that's Kawhi Leonard's go-to move, like jump
And
stop and
Lucas,
then pivot
yeah.
all the hell around. But so that one is different. But I mean, the NBA is like blatantly doesn't call travels.
Yeah, when I play pickup basketball, we tend to go by college and high school rules. When we'll give, when it's clear, like the Euro step or gather step, if it's, not blatantly off, but when it looks like someone takes 3, 4, even 4 steps, you got to call that.
Yeah. Well, playground has its own set of rules, though. Like the most common playground rule is if you shoot an air ball and catch your own shot, what's that on the playground?
That's
Right back
travel.
up.
That's not a
Passing
travel
yourself.
that's
Passing
not a
yourself.
travel in high school or college.
Not at all.
But that's a playground rule. Everybody calls that everywhere you go. If you can't
And
catch
on the
an air ball.
playground, a Euro step is definitely going to be called travel too.
That depends on your playground.
Right.
Yeah, and where you're at. I feel like everywhere I go, these different towns and different states all got different rules to the game of 21. I do my free shot from the 3-point line. Whenever I see someone step up at the free throw line for their free shots, I'm like, what is that? That's not 21 where I came from. But every town's got their different set of rules.
Well, playground rules play with 2s and 1s. I mean, that throws off the whole disproportionate. There's no you should shoot behind the line every time. If it's like getting 2s and 4s, that's crazy in playground rule to play with 2s and 1s. Like that's there's no point to drive in or post up ever. But
It'd be just like an NBA basketball game nowadays. 43 pointers.
yeah, I don't it's funny, like I last time I played against this kid that was really good, and he beat me really bad the first game 1-on-1. We were just playing, and then I said I'll play you again, but we're gonna play real basketball rules. And he was just a fun young kid. So I was like, all right, what do you mean? And I'm like, 3s and 2s. And you make a shot, I get the ball. Because he just made every shot. I couldn't even get the ball and score on him. And just by making those 2 rule changes, it evened it out enough where like our next game was came down right to the wire. If you play winners, that's another playground rule, right? Win it, take it on 1-on-1 and half court. That's very disproportionate. All right, now Powell is the
Yellow.
they're making their run here. There we go. There's Podensky.
Yeah, I expect them to. It looks like they're trying a little bit harder.
I don't remember him in college at all, Podensky.
He played at a small school, Santa Clara.
They were in the tournament though, weren't they? I think Santa Clara.
I believe
Yeah.
so. You guys got any tourney favorites so far?
It's too early. I usually
I'd be
go
lying.
I
It's
usually
tough,
go
but
with the ACC.
UConn still looks tough. UConn look like they're primed to repeat. Not saying they will, but they're going to definitely be, make a strong run. Those
Yeah, they're
guys
number 1 in the rankings right now.
After UConn, I mean, I like Purdue for the last couple years with Edie, but it seems like they could never get over the hump in the tournament. They always get upset.
It's a guard driven tournament. I feel like the big guy never
always.
wins.
That's why FAU was in there last year in San Diego State. They had great backcourts.
Yeah, Miami did too. They've been a big disappointment, Miami. Last year, South Florida was like on top of the world for basketball. Like when did we become a basketball place? I think we had 3 teams in the Final Four. We had the Heat in the NBA Finals.
You had the girls team was in the their girls team was in the
Miami.
Final Four.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with those 2 twins.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had the twins on the team.
Cavender twins.
Yeah, the Cavender twins.
The one who's still hooping is well, she tried to transfer. I'm not sure what the NCAA did with her transfer, but she's at a JUCO that I used to actually work at down in
She's
Fort
from Miami.
Myers. Yeah.
Yeah, one didn't play for Miami at all. She wasn't very good once she got to Miami.
Like cheating, just throwing the ball up to Wembenyama on the break. He's always open when you're throwing it down to him.
Cherry picking.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Mac McClung's been playing pretty decent for the G League team. Did have a bad turnover, but
yeah. So Bates has been playing pretty good too. His shots been hitting the bottom of the net.
Taking a lot of shots, that's for sure.
Yeah, he sure is. Got a quick trigger finger.
Wow, now they take a timeout. They're 11 away from ending it, and they take the timeout.
Yeah, so I was starting to gear up for March Madness, and I figured, well, why don't I look at who they're projecting for the NBA draft, and then I'll like kind of start watching some games from some of those players. And I looked at, and there's like no college kids at all. Like the whole top 10, it's like 10 more Wembies coming out of France and a couple G Leaguers. Like there's no
the rest of the
kids at
world
all.
is definitely caught up with America in basketball. You know, I miss the days where we could send out the Olympic team and smash the other countries by 40, 50, 60, 70 points. But that's just not happening anymore. That they're developing these European players.
Well, European players have always been tweeners, can do multiple things. Where in the 80s, NBA players were strictly a defender, strictly a shooter. Not too many players with Michael Jordan that had all-around games. And then Americans went to Europe and taught fundamental basketball, fundamental sound basketball. And all these guys got great fundamentals in Europe. And now here in America, everything is crossover, step back, behind the back. So we lost the edge of fundamentally sound basketball. Nobody's using the triple threat. Nobody's swinging through. None of that stuff. Everything is dribble, 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 set a pick, dribble, 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 set a pick. So our game is more of a playground game, where in Europe, these kids are learning the fundamentals. Like I was saying, I run a youth athletic league, and I got all third, fourth, fifth graders crossing over behind the back, step back, but nobody is triple threatening, Z cuts, defensive stands, none of the things that make you a great basketball player. We don't teach that here in the States anymore.
So I got a guy that you can watch, like you were saying, Greg, there's not a lot of guys that you're seeing that are projected high in the draft. This guy's not projected high in the draft, but it's a kid that I used to be a sports reporter in Fort Myers, and I covered him down there. He went to Siena. He was a great mid-major player, and now he's in Oklahoma. His name is Javian McCollum, kind of a long, lanky guard, a little bit like Rain was talking about. He is that fundamental guy. He plays inside the three-point line, a lot of pull-up mid-range game. I love his game. He's fun to watch. Oklahoma's on a bit of a skid in the Big 12 right now, but if they're able to get like a decent seeding in the tournament, that's a guy, like you mentioned, it's a guard-driven tournament, and he's a guy with some experience. Siena didn't make a tournament run in either of his times there, but they did make deep conference tournament runs, and it's a fun guard to watch. Probably not like a really NBA prospect, but a guard that I've enjoyed watching this year and somebody that I have a personal connection to.
Yeah,
interesting take. I never take Oklahoma anymore. I'm pretty sure I took them the year Trae Young was there.
Trae Young was there.
And they lost right away.
Yeah, like I say, it's just tough. Like fundamentals are out the window here in the States when it comes to our youth basketball.
A fundamental team that I've been waiting. I just want them to have some success. They seem to choke in every March Madness tournament. But Tommy Lloyd and the Arizona Wildcats, he brings in a lot of like his recruiting style is bringing in a lot of those European players, experienced European players, and so you see a lot of. And he's also he was on that Gonzaga coaching staff, so he's implementing a lot of Gonzaga's play style with the fundamentals of these players. And
Yeah,
I think I pick Arizona to make a little noise, but they seem to let me down every season.
Yeah, they
those
lost in the first round last year too.
last year. Yeah, Gonzaga was the prototypical team with European players, and that's what got Gonzaga on the map. You know, having those older guys, those European guys, and that's what made Gonzaga a power. So everybody's going to copycat Gonzaga, which they should, because Gonzaga went from being a nobody to somebody, and now you're looking at, like, I'm looking at the standings, and I'm like, well, Gonzaga's not top 5, Gonzaga's not top 10. They must be struggling, right? Because it's been a staple for the last decade to see Gonzaga at the top.
Yeah, I think St. Mary's is leading their division right now.
Yeah, St. Mary's has always been a thorn, but Gonzaga has always been nationally recognized with European players.
Yeah, the top guy I read about was the point guard for Marquette. He was like the main guy that was coming back for another year in college.
These G League guys play very unselfish, and that's why they continue to stay
They're
in front.
3 away from ending it.
Yeah, you guys are so far ahead of me.
Oh, he's getting a layup. He's kicking it back out for the 3. He wants to end it.
Oh yeah, no one's getting on the ball for the loose floor
They called a foul on 3. McClung's going to shoot 3 free throws for the
You guys are so far ahead of me. My streaming service must suck.
I haven't even got to the McClung 3-point shot yet.
No, I'm not
there it is. What? That was a foul? I guess so. I don't know. I have to see the replay.
Did they challenge that? Oh my gosh.
Wow, and it was off an offensive rebound too. Whoa.
Powell, this is the end of Powell's coaching career.
Kind of embarrassing for the POW team and Wembanyama. Come on now, what are we doing?
Yeah, and Brandon Miller and Jabari Smith and Pajemski and
Jalen Williams.
These are guys I think are going to be big time players in the league.
Nobody wants to see this G League.
Hey, like I said, man, these guys feel like they're equal. They've been playing against these guys for the last 4 years. High school, a couple of these cats are one and dones. Brandon Miller. I mean, they've been on AAU. They're familiar with these guys. They're not intimidated. They're not scared of them.
Well, they've been playing D too. The All-Star team hasn't really been trying on D. I saw him give up.
Plum looked right away to the ref like it was a foul. It looked like he barely got grazed.
They're NBA guys. They're taking it easy.
Yeah.
The G Leaguers are excited to be on this, on this stage here, tonight, where the NBA guys is like, hey, we just here with the All-Star festivities. These G Leaguers got something to prove.
The replay, he gets McClung on the elbow.
Somebody might get a 10-day contract after this All-Star game.
Let's see if he chokes this.
Oh, yeah,
I'm still in the middle of a commercial break.
Isn't he? He's known for his dunks, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not for his
you guys haven't seen his high school mixtape. It's
crazy. Cool. Oh, yeah. Wow, that was very soft, but the right call.
Shout out to the ref for seeing that, live action. That's sometimes hard to see.
Before the break, they had the ref cam too, where you could see his vantage point, and more so than seeing the foul, you saw Mac McClung turn right away.
I'm ahead of you guys. I don't want to give it away.
Uh-oh.
The game's over. The game's over. That's what just happened. He's gonna hit all 3. Of course he does. I mean, oh no, he doesn't. He missed.
He missed.
I was going to say,
jinx.
In a game to 40 to score 13 points would be pretty damn impressive.
Wemby's bringing them back. They're way down though.
Yeah, it's more so the defense that they need to stay in the game.
Now they just need a 2 to win. Oh my God, she missed again. McClung.
Oh wow, yeah. Wemby just got that put back. That's what's crazy about Wemby, man. You see him do things that I've really never seen any other player do. He dunks it when a dunk shouldn't have happened. Gets crazy blocks. He recovers. He can be behind the defender and still reach his arm out and block that shot.
I mean, I think Wemby is definitely the next. You know,
They goaltended that.
Once he get his man bot going, he's going to be tough to handle.
Did you guys see McClung miss the layup yet?
Yes, I just saw the
It
missed
was
layup.
basket interference though. The ball was on the rim.
That's what the bench was reacting to. I thought something happened later than that you were saying ended the game.
No, it's still going.
Well, the fix is in.
They wouldn't have gave him those free throws if they want him to win.
That's true. Yeah, the game should have been over.
Oh, Wemby.
Oh, yeah. That was definitely goaltending. You're right about that.
Technically, that's basket
Palace
interference.
making the comeback. I bet you they locked in is what happened. They're like, all right, we ain't gonna lose this.
Wemby just had
It's good to see some of the old heads like Deadlift Shrimp and Vin Baker and all these guys helping out. You know.
Oh yeah, that was still on the way up. See, those are the shots I'm talking about. How does he get to that? I mean, I guess McClung is a short player.
He's trying to say it was goaltending too. You're right.
McClung's hero ball. The first one was definitely basket interference.
Ooh, I don't know.
They're playing some.
I don't know. I think the ball was still going up.
It would just suck if the game ended like that.
That's a good call. They call it. He got it. It fell right off the side of the rim.
Man, they're milking as many commercials as they can get out of this game.
Oh yeah, I hate commercials. Yeah.
Only the Super Bowl commercials.
Even those weren't that good.
Yeah, they wasn't like it was in the past. Yeah, you're right. I didn't see anything that really just caught my attention.
I didn't like that. And I thought the best part about the halftime show was when Alicia Keys started singing.
Oh, so many Jesus commercials. I didn't realize they had so much money.
And Temu had about so many commercials. I'm like, they selling a lot of knockoffs.
All my church friends are like, they're the most mad about the Jesus commercials.
This Temu seems like one of those cheap apps. If I download it, I'll just get a bunch of viruses or ad walls or something.
Well, Temu has 7-8 commercials.
Is Jacob Toppin Obi Toppin's brother?
I think so.
Isn't Obi Toppin also on the Knicks G League?
Oh, he got traded to. I think he's on the Wizards now or something, or it might be the Pacers. I think he's on the Pacers.
That Dayton team, nobody got robbed more during COVID than Dayton did.
Oh, I thought Oregon, men's and women's. Women's
That's
had Sabrina, one of the greatest college seasons from a collegiate athlete, and she didn't even get to. She had Oregon ranked number 1.
Yeah, but like Oregon's there. Like Oregon is relevant like a lot of the time. Dayton's like very rarely relevant. And that was their 1 year where it was like, oh my God, they're this good. And yeah. Well, that'll do it. G Leaguers.
Yeah, I don't even know who this guy is. Buzelis?
Yeah.
He made a nice unselfish play earlier on a fast break. I know that much. And then good for that.
All right, well, that's going to be a wrap for our broadcast, guys. That was a fun watching the end of that with you. Came right down to it. So we'll be back on Monday. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the All-Star game, and have a great weekend.
All right, guys.
You guys enjoy it.